What is going on, degenerates? Happy Monday to you, my MMA fans, my gamblers, my friendly neighborhood degenerates, just like myself. It is pay-per-view fight week. Welcome back to the show. This is the Die Hard MMA podcast. For the moment, rebranded the Die Hard MMA Fadecast because my ass could not hit a bet if it was water and it fell out of a boat. There's some kind of, I'm trying to say something here about not hitting water if I fell out of a boat, but I fucked that up. I took another L. I can't even make the right analogy for you guys for just how badly I am doing in the year 2024. You know, at the beginning of the year, I told you guys, I was like, be careful. I'm going to do my best to break the curse. But the reality is I follow the same dang pattern that I've been doing since I started the podcast. I have an incredible year where I do really well. I see the board very clearly. I make good bets. I get good bounces and I do good. And the very next year, it's like everything is just it's opposite day. Like I can't quite see straight. And every bad bounce I possibly could get, I get. And the prospects who I think are going to be making improvements, they're just not. They're sitting at home eating Cheetos on the couch, watching hockey. Like, I cannot figure it out for the life of me. Since I started the show 6 years ago, good year, bad year, good year, bad year, good year. And I thought coming off my best year to date, I'm like, you know what? This is it. This is the one. We're breaking it. We're snapping it. No more of this shit. Bad year. Just like clockwork, man. I can't figure it out. It's driving me absolutely nuts. I tallied up the numbers. Hold yourselves. I'm down 65 units in 2024. So the high water mark was I ended 2022 minus 70 units. Now, that year was followed, obviously, by my all-timer where for a brief moment, I touched 100 units in profit. I ended up 88 units last year. So, you know, it's not like I haven't been here before, but let me tell you, it sucks to be balls to the buzzsaw this close to your worst year ever to do it again. Like I was hoping never, ever to be back at this place again. I mean, if I just stare off into the distance, I can hear, hello, darkness, my old friend. Like I'm not about it right now, you guys. So I've got work to do. I need to turn this shit around. But the very first thing that I need to do before we kick off the show, we got a lot of fights to talk about. I've got an awesome guest for you. But before all of that, I need to address the elephant in the room. And Clint, you already talked about how much you're getting your ass kicked this year, how much your bookie loves you, and how much money you've lost. What other elephant? You guys, I owe Ailin Perez an apology. Because last week I came on this show and I made you look me directly in the eyes. And I told you not only was I going to be betting against her, but she was a bad fighter. I said that. I clipped it. I made a TikTok. I made a short out of it. I posted it up everywhere just talking about how terrible she was. I made a max bet against her. And she was the easiest win on the entire card. The way she sliced through Dyla Zelinyakova like she was a hot knife through butter. There was zero resistance. There was barely any effort. None of it mattered. And on top of that, like the finish came so easy. Dyra's never been in a choke like that before. She panic tapped and that shit wasn't even in. Told you guys before, my background is jiu-jitsu. I know a good arm triangle when I see one. That was my favorite choke. That was my favorite submission. She had wiggle room there. She could have survived in that choke. That was a panic tap. She didn't know what the fuck to do. She couldn't get this heavy ass off of her. And I have to give Eileen Perez props where they're due. I talked a whole bunch of shit, and I was incredibly wrong. And to make matters worse, then she got up and she twerked in Daira's face. And when it comes down to it, Daira didn't deserve that. I did. It should have been me. Eileen Perez should have twerked in my face. One can only hope. No, I can't even say it with a straight face. All right, that's it. We're moving on. We've addressed it, okay? It's been out there. I'm sorry. And I hope that Maddie is enjoying the OnlyFans content that he purchased from Perez for cashing the ticket there for him. All hail Money Moicano. All right, guys, without further ado, I'm going to get our guest in here. We have none other than the man himself. You know, on Twitter, it's a little bit of a smaller sphere, but everybody has their area of expertise. If you're following me from MMA Twitter, you may have seen him around once or twice, but if you're here from MMA Instagram, you know this man is the GOAT, none other than Free UFC Bet Picks himself. My man, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Clint. Excited to be here. Got some bangers on this card. Alex Pereira, you know, every 6 weeks. Seems like we're breaking down Alex Pereira. It's always fun fight week. Got my butt handed to me this last weekend, so I'm on bounce back season just like you.
Glad it wasn't just me.
Yeah, no, it seems like everybody I saw, even the sharpest, like, you know, everybody, safe folks, risky folks. Seems like everyone had a tough weekend. I was out at Noche UFC a couple weeks ago at the Sphere, so that was awesome. I'm still riding high off that. Just experience, you know, super fun, but definitely need to hit some bets this week, and so I'm excited to break them down.
I hear you, man. I hear you. We all need to get back on track a little bit. And what's better than a pay-per-view to go ahead and get that shit done for us? I'm excited. We got a lot of really good fights to talk about, you guys. But first and foremost, I need to welcome in the chat. We got Mikey Jones. We got my guy Dream. Jewish Better in the house. We got Grateful Dude. Air Dog. We got Aaron Harlock. We got Joshua Frick. Eric Williams. Aussie NYC. Lucky Day MMA. My man, half the battle. Dan Levy himself hanging out. Gray Spann. We got Dix Insider. It wouldn't be a show without Dix Insider. We've got a bunch of other people rolling in here. Already got 164 live viewers. Thank you all so much for jumping in here on the show. Really appreciate you guys being here week in and week out. And we're going up against freaking 2 NFL games again tonight, man. Can you believe it? Like, it's bad enough when there's one NFL game. I've got my Monday on my show on a Monday every single week. It's bad enough I got to compete during football season with one, but when they do these double headers, it's just kill me. Do you have anything going tonight? Do you have anything in football we need to talk about before we get into the fights?
No, I was doing a ladder challenge with, you know, some safe props, some teasers, that type of thing. Was doing all right, built it up a couple days in a row, lost yesterday. So I was hoping to be on a nice, like, step 4 of a ladder tonight. I was thinking DK Metcalf should have a decent night. But I stayed off it and wanted to prep these fights. Clint, you didn't tell folks I'm coming in 4 hours short notice like Dan Ige.
You know what? You are. And man, I got to tell you, first off, everybody, huge thank you. Huge thank you to my guy Aaron for swooping in here on short notice. I had another guest planned and booked and ready for you way in advance. Like, the trick about having a show on Monday is nobody else is ready. Like, everybody else does their show. I always try to be, like, you know, first to market, you know what I mean? So that, you know, Wheezy and Brady, they do their shows on Sunday nights, but everybody else is, you know, maybe Tuesday at the earliest, you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, everyone's getting it all together throughout the week. And it's real tough when someone falls out short notice like that, because that's most people's answer is just, I'm not ready. I haven't looked into it yet. Give me some time. I'm doing Dana White's Contender Series. And that, you know, the guys like, you know, Narco John, Liam, like, they're all, you know, Gordo, they're all doing Dana White's Contender Series shows tonight. So I can't steal any of them. So it puts me in a corner when shit like this happens. But what are you going to do? You know, when the laptop breaks and you can't get online, you got to find somebody. So, man, I really appreciate you swinging in here and taking a stab at it on short notice, Dan Ige style for me.
Fifth resort, fifth option.
No, hell no. You were first option. You were first string All-America, man. You were the first one I messaged, and I'm not even making that up.
No, I know. No, always love breaking them down. It's been too long. And the last card we had was kind of a low-level Apex card, so we got some bangers to go through.
Dude, that's exactly what happened. Is I'm sitting here and I'm going, okay, I got to find a replacement. And it's funny because you and me were just kind of chit-chatting on the side, with me coming off my shitty weekend. And I'm like, okay, now I got to find a replacement. It's a big paper. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm literally talking to the guy right now. That's the move. Like, we need to do a pay-per-view card together. So I was like, all right, let's get this shit done. Anyway, all right, let's get into it, man. We got some stuff to talk about. First fight of the evening, everybody. We got the Dirty Bird, Tim Means, taking on Court the Crusher McGee. This is one of those very classic winner gets a hip replacement type of fights, man. We've got a 40-year-old taking on a 39-year-old, and you could not get more different styles. I mean, Tim Means, I love the way this guy controls range, man. His whole career, the way he strikes long, the way he uses his front and body kicks to like corral people, and then they think, okay, I'll crash the pocket and I'll get him. You got knees and elbows waiting for you as soon as you get into that clinch. He is filthy at close range. You just can't mess with the guy. And then on top of that, he's got those long ass lanky arms. He uses them really well with submissions and chokes. He can get kind of stuck on his back sometimes where he trusts the jiu-jitsu maybe a little bit too much, but he catches people in triangles from those spots too. So like you cannot mess with Tim Means anywhere you want to go. And I usually chime in at this point to talk about the aged veteran, the durability, the chin deteriorating. Like Tim Means can't take a punch anymore, man. But he's fighting Court McGee, a man who doesn't knock anybody out. Like even in Court's heyday, he was never enough of a power puncher to hurt anybody. He's the grinder, man. He pins you up against the fence. He will drag you to the mat. And even when he's at range striking, it's just the most grinding, almost Marab-esque, where it's like he's just constantly in your face. He's hitting you. It sucks. It's annoying. He's outscoring you, out-voluming you, but it doesn't hurt. Like he just keeps going. I love Court McGee, never-ending cardio, a guy that usually you can bank on for durability, but at 39 years old, that's starting to slip a little too, man. Court McGee's on a 3-fight skid right now. 2 of those 3 losses coming by KO, and we can't even say that it's like young bucks that are getting him. Like Jeremiah Wells hits like a truck, okay, sure, but Matt Brown just retired. I know the guy hits hard, but he's getting KO'd by elder statesman type of fighters. You know what I mean? So this is a really, really interesting matchup here to me. And you've got Tim Means, who's sitting at about a minus 200-ish favorite in this spot. It looks like minus 225, plus 185, the line here on Court McGee. And I'm really curious to hear what your take on this one, man. What do you make of this fight? Who you like?
Yeah, it's tough. Court McGee, he's such a grinder, like you said. He's got great cardio. He used to have really good durability, and now it's kind of gone out the window. And his takedowns, which were typically his path to victory, have kind of been failing him. Alex Moreno has decent takedown defense, but he's not, I shouldn't even say he has decent takedown defense. It's under 50%, if I recall, and he's not like a hulking guy. Alex Moreno can be taken down. You might even say he's like happy to play off his back. Court went 1 for 6 against him last fight. Means, as you mentioned, some durability concerns as well, but I think just the far more technical striker, far more pop on his punches. So at like first glance, I kind of thought it should be a pick 'em. They're both in the same kind of spot in their career. But when it comes down to the styles, I do think that Means is probably going to catch him. I'm thinking Means finish only prop might be minus 300, but I think that's parlayable. I don't think Court's going to finish him by any means. I hate an accidental pun like that.
Yeah, I love them. They're the best.
I'm leaning Means KO. It's probably going to be like plus 150 or something. Probably not something worth touching. I did hit Means round 3 2 fights ago. So, maybe you start looking at those later Means props as you expect Court to kind of be safe, maybe do some cage control round 1, maybe round 1 just flies by. And then it's round 2 and round 3 where Means starts landing some shots. So, you might see me get to something risky like that. But I do think the Means finish only should be like a parlay lock.
Means finish only is probably a real good way to look at it because, like you said, man, it's tough to count on Court McGee to finish really anybody. It's funny because I kind of lean ever so slightly the other way just because of Tim deciding to play the turtle off of his back. You know what I mean? If Court is able to drag him down, I don't know if Tim gets back up. Like you could lose an entire round with Court just sitting on top of him. And I don't think Court's going to hit him hard enough to put him away. So I kind of feel like it's a buy low Court by decision type of spot where both these old men just kind of have lost a step. But the one thing that you always can rely on is Court dragging somebody's ass to the floor, you know? I also, you know what, man? The one thing I noted when I was going back through my tape study was Alex Morono actually fought both these guys. And he took out Tim Means with that patented guillotine. He pulled that on Court and he had it deep. Now, Court McGee is damn near impossible to submit. So he managed to like drag his neck out of that choke, but it was in there for a long time. It was very difficult for him to escape. It was close. I wouldn't be shocked if Tim wins by submission. I know Tim by KO is like the most likely thing to happen, but I just want to look at that sub number when it comes out because Court McGee is leaving his neck hanging out there a little bit more than he used to on those takedown entries. And Tim Means has that high elbow guillotine that he can go to. I would not be shocked if he finds a way to sink that thing in.
That's a great point. I often like getting to like a ninja choke, Bravo choke.
Yeah.
Honda on BetMGM exact props. So I could definitely see that.
Those are fun. You gotta love the exact submission calls, man. Yeah, all right. So picking a winner, I guess I will side with you. I'll say I think at the end of the day, Tim Means probably finds a way to win. But at this stage of his career, at this age, I've got a hard time with that number, man. So when it comes to betting, for me, it's kind of dog or pass. At this point, I'm not too comfortable with much of anything. I want to wait and see what those prop numbers look like when they come out.
Last thing I'll mention, it was just over 3 years ago, but Nicholas Dalby went 0 for 4 on Tim Means. You know, I think that's like the most comparative matchup that Means has had over the last few years. And, you know, he was able to just stay at distance and piece Dalby up. And since then, we've seen Means get taken down, but it was by like better strikers like Max Griffin, people who had a more like well-rounded game. So I think, you know, just the length is going to make it tough. So I feel like a sketchy fight. Probably best to stay away, but Means has got to be my pick too.
Okay. All right. I like it, man. Let's move right on along. We've got Ovince St. Preux taking on Ryan Superman Spann. And guys, we have already talked about this fight. This one got pulled a couple of weeks ago. And you know what? I should have looked before, but let me check this out real quick and see what exactly happened. St. Preux got sick. Okay, OSP was the one that pulled out of the last fight, and that's why we've got this rebooking and it got canceled. I'll be honest with you, man. I don't have a whole lot to say about this fight because it really is tough for me to buy this turning back the clock OSP thing. You look at his run that he's on right now. Like, yeah, he's 3-3 in his last 6, but one of those wins was it was Mauricio Shogun Rua in 2022. He won that fight via split decision. Man, I was in the crowd that night and I thought Rua won that fight. It was just a matter of at the end of round 3, Mauricio had absolutely nothing in the tank and OSP just kind of kicked him from range, just front kick straight up the middle. Neither guy wanted anything to do with it. Nobody wanted to get hurt. It was kind of a handshake agreement that like, we're not going to kill each other tonight. And so it was just a boring, greasy grime of a fight. And he won a split decision. Congrats. Takes a long time off, gets KO'd by Felipe Lins in round 1. And then Kennedy Nchukwu, it felt exactly like the Rua fight to me, where Kennedy just didn't fight that night, man. He didn't show up. That guy's got no chin. He was in self-preservation mode, and that allowed OSP to kind of feel a little better and move around the cage, and he was never really put in a position where he felt like he was in any danger, and that's not going to happen with Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann is a round 1 or bust fighter. This guy comes out, balls to the wall in every single round 1, and he literally is incapable of winning a fight if it goes past the first round. He is literally incapable of winning a fight. I mean, you look back at the Anthony Smith fight, lost a decision that he probably should have won because he doesn't know what to do outside the first 3 minutes of an MMA fight. So I gotta pick Ryan Spann probably via first round finish, just because I think that's the most likely way this goes against an aging veteran fighter. But we have seen Ryan Spann fall apart more times than I can count. He's on an 0-3 run himself, even though he's the younger guy who's kind of at the edge of his prime, I guess. Still, I can't trust the guy, so I don't want to put my money on him either.
Yeah, I mean, last time out, I lost money on Spann, and last time out, I lost money on Kennedy. Like both these guys just are on my bad side here.
Yep.
OSP beating, minus 700 favorite Kennedy. As soon as that line came out, I was putting Kennedy and stuff for weeks. At like minus 450, minus 500, ends up minus 700, and just completely breaks your heart. Interestingly, OSP, like his cardio looked good. His output really increased throughout that fight. He looked better and better. It was just super surprising. It was one of the first fights this year that got us thinking about, like, holy cow, is this the year of the post USADA veteran resurgence? Like it was OSP busting parlays that got everyone kind of, really thinking about that. And so, tough fight here. Last time out, I thought Spann was going to beat Bogdan Guskov because I thought Guskov has like the worst ground game in the division. Actually bet who was, Guskov's somebody Russian who'd never had a submission. I bet his submission prop in round 2 and round 3, and he got it round 1. Like I've known that Guskov has no ground game. Spann couldn't take advantage of it. So just super tough guys to pick. We've heard a lot about Spann's kind of personal life and where his focus is through the years, right? Like there's times where I thought he was going to come out and look terrible because you hear that he's not really training hard and stuff, and he looks good. Other times where he should absolutely wash this guy with absolutely no grappling, and then he just gets blasted. Guskov caught him with an uppercut at range that ended that fight, that started the finish in round 2. Super, super just sketchy fight. I think Spann is the obvious pick, but I would just caution everybody, OSP did not look washed last time out. His cardio did not look terrible last time out. And gosh, like just screw both these guys.
No, I love it. I'm right there with you, man. Forget it. My guy Dan from Half the Battle saying OSP is the Fortis MMA killer. Alonzo Menafield, Kennedy and Chukwu, and now this is the third attempt for Fortis MMA to take him down with Ryan Superman Spann. To be fair, I do feel like this is like the final boss. They put the pawn out there first and he got by that, and then they put the mini boss out there to see what he can do, and now the final boss is Ryan Spann. So hopefully OSP is up to the challenge. That'd be pretty crazy if he turned back the clock yet again. If he was going to do it, this is the kind of guy who he could do it against, though. A guy who slows down after round 1, doesn't have much of a chin, and gets a little lost in the cage after a couple minutes in the fight. So, yeah, it's entirely possible, man. Absolutely wild fight. Not one that I'm interested in putting my money on.
You mentioned it there. I think it bears reiteration. Spann looked real tired against Guskov. Like it's wild to think, but OSP might have a cardio edge here.
That's so insane to say. How is that possible in 2024, man? That's nuts. Oh, boy. All right, guys. Moving on. Next fight up, we have got Carla Esparza, and she is taking on Tecia Pennington in a rematch, believe it or not. And again, I got to tip my hat to my guy Dan Levy. Dude's sharp as a tack out there. He reminded me that these two have history from The Ultimate Fighter, which is really cool because in the co-main event, for the title, it's running it back off of The Ultimate Fighter. There's some bad blood going on. It's a double run back situation. Both Penningtons are involved. I am loving it. I think it's awesome. I've told you guys for a long time, my favorite MMA couple was always Tecia and Raquel. So I'm loving they're both on the same card here. I love my girl. Rocky has gold wrapped around her waist. This is all good stuff for me. I know I'm in the minority here on this one, but I'm eating it up this week. This is my era of watching The Ultimate Fighter. I remember some of this stuff, so I'm excited. But Carla Esparza, let's get into it, man. I mean, 19-7. I know she had UFC gold wrapped around her waist on more than one occasion, so you can't really knock her as far as her back class, what she's done. She deserves a certain level of respect, but it's been tough sledding for Carla recently. She's 36 years old. She is a grappler who is so reliant on the takedowns, it's not funny. Like, she finds herself in so many bad situations. If you look at her run She's 4-1 in her last 5. And you're like, oh man, what are you doing talking poor on her with that kind of a run? She lost to Weili Zhang. I'm not surprised at that. She beat Rose Namajunas. That's a big deal. She TKO'd Yan Xiaonan, man. Like, yeah, but the Rose fight was literally the worst fight in UFC history. She has that on her. And it was so dull and boring that the judges had no idea who to give it to. They had to declare somebody the winner. And she just so happened to be the recipient of that one. To be completely blunt with you, I also disagree with the decision. I still thought Rose won, even with how terrible and slow-paced that fight was. Yan Xiaonan, she did the classic crucifix ground and pound thing. Those elbows couldn't hurt a fly, man. Like, yeah, she got saved. She got bailed out. There was nothing Yan could do from that position. So props to Carla Esparza, but that's like a 1% outcome, man. If they run it back, I think Yan is winning this fight a whole hell of a lot more often. Marina Rodriguez, split decision. That looks terrible. Michelle Waterson Gomez, split decision. That looks terrible. 3 of her 4 victories on this run are by split decision. We could be looking at a 1-4 in her last fight, Carla Esparza, very easily, instead of being the other way around, man. So I am not in on Carla Esparza at this point, at this stage. And to make matters worse, we have got not 1, but 2 of my absolute favorite fade angles. She is coming into retirement. We know when she steps foot in that cage on Saturday, it is her last fight. She's come out and said it. And fighters that are doing that have a horrific finishing rate. They have a terrible win rate in that situation. They're checked out mentally. They don't want it anymore. You don't push yourself as hard in that last training session. You know the end is here. So they just come in not quite as good. Unless your name is Robbie Lawler. Like, you just don't come in on that retirement fight and perform to the best of your abilities or look like you used to. The second angle, man, is the new mom fade. These women who come in after having a baby, the amount your body changes, your mental state, your physical state. Like, I'm a dad, so I've been there through it with my own wife in real life. To be a fighter and go through that, I can't possibly imagine. The change that you go through for that, mentally and physically, changes you as a human being, changes you as a person. Now, some women we have seen can get back on the horse as MMA fighters. It takes a little bit of time. They get back in shape. They get that mean streak back, but it's tough to go from this little thing that I have to love and nurture and care for and take care of every single day to let me smash this thing in the face with an elbow. It's not the same. They got to flip the switch in their brain, and it takes time. So that first fight back off of having that first baby, we see so many women drop that first fight. Even if they look decent, they're just not quite themselves. I've never seen these two angles combined. Like, we've seen women come back after the new mom angle and then retire. I don't think I've ever seen it where they straight up have announced it. This is my retirement fight before they step into the cage coming with the new mom angle. This is like a very rare 2-0 spot for me when it comes to angles. So I am only looking one direction in that fight, and that's Tecia Pennington. Now, she is 3-3 in her last 6. She was the new mom fade just a couple of fights ago. I love the effort, the speed, the energy. This girl's a little tank. She's 115 pounds of solid muscle, man. She is tough to take down, and she's even harder to keep her on the ground because she's so explosive. She's also so short. She can like get her feet up from underneath her so she can get her center of gravity in the right spot to fight her way back up. I think this is going to be a really close fight. Tecia Pennington is about a minus 180-ish favorite at this point. With the damage over control era that we're in the UFC, I think you've got to give the volume striking to Tecia Pennington as like a big edge as far as how the judges are going to see this fight go. And then if Carla is in any way diminished from what she was before, I think she's going to be a little bit slower. She's probably going to have a tougher time keeping some of those positions. She's not going to have that killer instinct or the timing quite as sharp as it used to be. And that little edge, I think, makes Tecia look very, very intriguing here to me. I don't want to be laying a big fat number on a women's MMA fight that is extremely likely, looking at the records of these women, historically speaking, this fight is extremely likely to go to a split decision. So I don't want to get too chalked up, but I definitely think Tecia Pennington is the side, and considering the double fade angle, that's the only way I can look betting, man. I know that was a long-winded breakdown. I apologize. I had a lot to say, but what do you make of this fight, man? What do you think of this one?
It's a tough one to watch tape on. and tough one to
You're
pick.
not kidding.
Your wife sounds like a very patient woman, because a lot of moms would say they've never had more aggression. They can't wait to take it out on somebody, So, God bless all the moms out there. I think this is a tough one. I'll mention that Tecia's takedown defenses looked really good. Tabitha Ricci went 1 for 10. Like, how much better at wrestling at this stage in their career is Carla Esparza than Tabitha Ricci? I don't know, maybe a little bit. But, Tecia has that footwork, that jab, and she's strong, and she trains with Rocky. I'm a fan of them as well. I'm a big fan of Rocky. And, so I have to assume Tecia's in the cage with strong girls, right? Including her wife. And, we actually already saw the new mom fight against Tabitha. And she, defended 90% of the takedowns in that fight against a solid fighter, Baby Shark. So I'm on Tecia as well. I'll tell you this, though. I can guarantee there's a round 1 finish in this fight, because I'm going to parlay overs in this fight. And if you ask Eileen Perez or Jacqueline Amarine grabbing the glove, we're definitely going to see a round 1 finish here. So if you want to figure out who's going to win, you have to decide who's more likely to finish in round 1, and that's who's going to win.
Don't remind me of the Jacqueline Amarine grabbing the glove, man. I've raged for way too long about that instance here on the show.
Some BS, man. Hurt me bad.
My favorite part was Herb screaming at Sean O'Malley for it in the next fight.
Yeah,
the same guy that let it go the last time was like, don't do that. Herb, come on, man. Just a little bit of consistency, buddy, please.
In the Demopoulos fight, it wasn't Herb. It was, I can't remember his name. He's like an Hispanic ref. But yeah. So anyway,
Herb was cage side though. He was one of the guys that was round tabling, talking about whether or not they should uphold the decision. And so I'm blaming him as part of the crew.
I'm happy to blame Herb Dean anytime.
Yes, sir.
No, I love it. It's a hard job they got, but Demopoulos should have defended instead of just complaining. But yeah, so we've got a round 1 finish coming up. It's 1,000,000% lot guaranteed. So do with that what you will.
All right, let's go, everybody. Next fight, Alexander the Great Ape Hernandez takes on Austin Thud Hubbard. 2 of the best nicknames in the game, man. I got to tell you, something happened when Alexander changed his name to the Great Ape from just the Great. I feel like he lost a piece of himself. Something happened in his head where he went, you know what? I'm not the Great. I'm the Great Ape. And it's that was the moment, man. It all went downhill straight from there. As soon as he thought he was a monkey, it's over. And I'm a big DBZ fan, man. If you want to make yourself the Great Ape and, you want to go Super Saiyan on somebody, I'm all for it. I mean, look at Brian Battle this last weekend. He's got Shenron wrapped up all up his back. One of the coolest DBZ tattoos in the game. So I'm not even knocking the nickname, but you were the Great, man. You stepped into the UFC and you knocked a legend flat with a single punch. This kid, he knew how to cut a promo on the mic. He lost his edge. He was absolutely and always has been a bully mentality type of fighter, and he lost that. Now he just gets in there to fight, and he gets in there to have a good performance, and he gets in there to be a good teammate. And that guy ain't winning fights. Alexander Hernandez is 1-4 in his last 5. And some of these are just brutally disgusting. I mean, the split decision with Damon Jackson in his last fight, that was a tough one. That was a close one. But Renato Moicano, Billy Q, these guys are just dicing him. The deeper this fight goes, he's got nothing, man. He's got that first round where he's full of energy and he's full of confidence and he can bite down and he can nuke people with a power punch. If he doesn't have that, he's got nothing. So, man, one of my favorite spots was Alexander Hernandez and Jim Miller, because when he is a bully and he can manage to cardio pace himself, put somebody on their back, have some top time, he can slow it down. He can get a deep breath. That's the only way that this guy can go a full 15-minute fight. He either wrecks you in round 1, or he's got to be so much bigger and stronger than you that you can't stop the wrestling. So these guys with good cardio, they're just the death of him. Well, Austin Hubbard is a guy who's known for fighting at elevation, who's known for going deep in fights and then coming out with round 2, round 3 TKOs and finishes on the regional scene, because this guy knows how to drain a gas tank. This guy knows how to change levels and mix in the grappling and make you work. He knows how to, keep the pace high and constantly flick out different stuff at you and lots of feints. So you have to react and your muscles get real tight there for a second. That he's just getting another guy that can cause him serious problems. But let's not kid ourselves. I love Austin Hubbard. Honestly, man, I thought he was going to be a lot more than he is. When he first made it to the UFC, I was a big fan of Thud, and I really thought we were going to get a lot of like round 3 sprinkles and stuff like that with this guy, and it just hasn't panned out. It seems like he is barely hanging on to a UFC roster spot, so they send him back out to the regionals. He gets a win or two, and they put him on the comeback Ultimate Fighter season, right? And he squeezes by Roosevelt Roberts. And then he gets to the UFC and he gets choked out by Kurt Holobaugh. That's the one, man, where I was like, oh, this second run in the UFC just is not going to go well, is it? Because I thought he was beating Kurt Holobaugh. Straight up, I was super confident. I loved the spot for him. I was like, he's absolutely handling Kurt Holobaugh in 2024. Nope. Got tapped out. So they give him Michael Figlak, and he's able to grind his way to a 15-minute decision win over Michael Figlak. And I got that one wrong too. I thought Figlak was going to be able to go ahead and beat him in that spot, but it just kind of really puts Thud Hubbard in just a perfect little jar, man. Like, we have a hard time ranking where some of these fighters should fall truly in the rankings. His ceiling is so capped. And you've got Alexander Hernandez, desperate for a win, moving back up to 155 pounds. He's taking on a guy who can be hit. He's taking on a guy who can be hurt. He's taking on a guy who can be taken down. Yes, Austin Hubbard has good cardio. Yes, Austin Hubbard knows how to strike long. But when the bully gets in there, I really think Austin Hubbard will let himself be bullied. I think Alexander Hernandez will be able to hit those takedowns. I think he'll not be afraid of the strikes coming back his direction. And let's be real, Austin Hubbard does not have the kind of cardio that a guy like Billy Q has, where he's just going to be looking to absolutely dice you in the third round. He doesn't come quite that hard. I kind of think this is an okay spot, man, for Alexander Hernandez to save his job and stick around in the UFC for a little bit longer. It's, again, just a really untrustworthy guy to be talking about putting your money on this week, but I think I'm going to pick Alexander Hernandez, man.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I'm also picking Alex. I was like hoping he'd be the underdog, type thing. Minus 200. There's like zero chance of me touching that. Similar deal. I think maybe a Alexander Hernandez finish only, prop might be parlayable. There's a good chance it voids when this fight goes the distance. I thought Alex looked okay from a cardio perspective against Damon. We correctly picked Damon underdog in that fight.
Nice.
Shout out to Damon. And you just kind of put Damon in a category of guys with good cardio. I won't correct you. Just shout out. I love Damon. I would love to hear him put in this category. But, Hubbard, he's a good fighter. I liked him too. Always back in the day, rooted for him on Tough. Was glad to see him back. The Figlak fight, was a super close fight. His striking, a lot of people are talking about it improving. His kicks are improving. Nice low kick. He throws up a lot of teeps and body kicks. His offensive angles and footwork is improving. Talking about Hubbard here. But I do think his striking defense still leaves a lot to be desired. He really gets kind of stuck in the sand. He'll often stick both hands and all of his fingers straight out. I think he's highly likely to eye poke Hernandez here. Or if he doesn't just stick both hands straight out to defend punches, he'll evade, switch his footwork, and throw like one heavy hook. He often gets his feet crossed up. He often gets off balance. He will even leave his feet when throwing a hook. Like his footwork has a lot of issues. And I think obviously Alex is much faster and more technical and obviously has more power on the feet. I think we see it the same way. The question is, can Hubbard get takedowns? Damon did a nice job of getting body lock takedowns with good time level changes. And then Damon has like a really difficult, it's not perfect. It has problems, but he has a really difficult takedown style where he'll just like go to both knees and kind of tip over. And then he kind of lands in side control. And it's often a weird position where it takes him a while to secure it. It happened with Hernandez. Hernandez is like on his hip, and it's like, is Hernandez going to get up or land in side control? And Damon does a good job of dragging guys down there. Hubbard is more of a single leg takedown guy, and I think Alex can defend him. I don't think his
Damon's a
cardio is
backpacker
absolutely
too.
fresh. Yeah, no, that's a good point, and we've seen Alex get backpacked. But yeah, I think it's going to play out on the feed, and Alex should get it done.
All right. Glad you and I see it the same way, man. Alexander Hernandez looks to be about a 2-1 favorite at this point, and that just, it feels gross in my mouth. Like I don't want to lay that kind of chalk on him, but at the end of the day, that is the pick. That's who I think is winning. And the Just Pick Winners crew, I believe that's what's happening here.
I got to tell you one last thing in terms of Alex Hernandez kind of losing his aura. What's so funny to me is Damon Jackson last fight refused the glove touch, which, if you love Benny, if you're an old, like we all kind of still hate Alex Hernandez for his UFC debut. And he came out to try to glove touch Damon Jackson, and Damon didn't have anything of it. I thought that was hilarious.
Yep, man, that's so true. He absolutely is a guy that thrives on that kind of thing. And that's where I think when Cowboy Cerrone gave him that sit down son type of lesson, that was because he gave him the bad blood right back. That was the first guy that like stood up to him and was like, I ain't having it. Like he talked shit at him and he made him feel uncomfortable. Like if you let Alexander Hernandez feel comfortable, he fights at his best. So if you come out and you make him aware that this is serious and there's bad blood there, that I think mentally shakes him a little bit. I really honestly think there's something to that. And Austin Hubbard might be a little bit too nice of a guy here in this spot.
He's a sweetie.
Yep, absolutely. Now, I do have a comment I want to address in the chat here. My guy, Nick Alexander, saying over under 1.5 retirements this card. Nick, buddy, you got to set that at a 2 at minimum. Like, we know for a fact we're getting Carla Esparza retirement at the end of this card. Looking at some of these names on this list and some of the records that we're talking about, I would set that number at 2. I think over 1.5 is a stone cold lock, baby.
But you're thinking OSP, and OSP's never retiring, so...
Yeah, that's fair. They're gonna have to take him out back before he hangs it up. Old Yeller OSP style. All right, guys, we've got Ihor Potieria, and he takes on Cesar Almeida in the next fight. I was so excited for this fight, man. I wanted to talk this one up. I was ready, and I'm like, you guys just wait. This is going to be the best spot on the card. No one's going to be ready for it. Cesar Almeida bounce back season. I know I just showed my hand, but that's absolutely what's happening here. No. Bookies are wise to it. He's a massive favorite over Ihor Potieria, and I'm so sad. The bookies, you know what? I think that's part of my problem right now, man, is frankly, the bookies have gotten sharper. When I started my podcast 6 years ago, there were some soft spots. Like you could find people, they had no idea what they were looking at. They didn't know about cardio dynamics. Like you could find the sweet spot with the submissions, guys who have a black belt that nobody else knew was a good grappler. Like you could find these types of spots. They're so sharp these days. Bookies have gotten on it, and it's really difficult to find that kind of value these days because they're setting the lines appropriately on some of these fights. We might have caught them with their pants down in this kind of a spot a couple years ago, but not anymore. Ihor Potieria, since he dropped down to 185, seems like he really belongs at that weight class. He was way outgunned at 205, just not big enough, not strong enough. The power differential was massive. It was a problem for him, man. He's still fast at 185, and I think that's really his best attribute is his speed, but he plays with his hands low, and he really relies on the head movement and the speed and the footwork to avoid shots. He's not overly durable, so when he does get hit, it's a bit of a problem. He's taken on a world-class kickboxer here. This is a guy who came in with the Pereira storyline, right? Like they're putting him on the same card as Alex Pereira, a guy who he's got a kickboxing win over before, back in the life when they were kickboxers instead of MMA fighters. There's a point to this. They wanted him to take the same Pereira path, and maybe if there's no challengers left, they can hook him up with Alex Pereira for a fight because there's a storyline there that people will find intriguing or interesting. But at the bottom line, Cesar Almeida is a really freaking good kickboxer. Now, he kind of got audited in his last fight. He got taken down a whole bunch, lost a split decision to Roman Hopilov. I was one of the people crying robbery, man. I really thought that you could make an argument for round 2, round 3 Almeida in that fight because Hopalov did nothing in round 3 except lay on this guy. I mean, 0 damage done. He just laid on top of him and damage over control. I rewatched it with a fresh set of eyes. Give it a break, give it a month, take some time off, go back and watch it. Hopalov won that fight. Like, the right guy got his hand raised, and I can't argue that point. So I'm not going to make a fool of myself trying to say that I'm going to stick to my guns there and say Cesar Almeida should have won it. Hopalov absolutely won that fight. But the UFC is giving Cesar Almeida a get-right spot here, in my opinion, because Ihor is nowhere near the level of kickboxer as Cesar Almeida is. He's got no grappling to speak of, so this is going to be a striking match, and he's going to keep his hands down. I think Cesar Almeida is going to have a field day. I eventually think he finds the chin, knocks his ass out.
I've never been a big Cesar guy. I bet Kopylov last time out at -130. I thought money was going to pour in on him. Oh, I was wrong. I got the line movement wrong, and like all times, that's I hit a bet, right? Like, seems like when you get the line movement right, sometimes those are the ones that miss. Who thought Kopylov was going to come out and he's like, "Hey, I got an OV at the end of my name, baby. Y'all must have forgot." And he came out and looked like he had a V at the end of his name, right? You might be surprised when I tell you that Ihor goes for like more takedowns than Kopylov ever has. Ihor's only fought like 8 full rounds in his 7 UFC fights. He's gone for 8 takedowns. Has he ever landed one? No, he's 0 for 8. No. But man, who's going to be his first guy to take down? This guy.
He does attempt them. That's fair.
And so we all expect this to be a banger. They're both great strikers. Ihor's always in back and forth, like fight of the night, come from behind. He's blasting Bellotto and then gasses, and Bellotto takes him down and pounds him out. But if you don't take Ihor down, he's really good on the feet. I think he's hittable. Yes. It's interesting durability. Like, durability is different for everybody, right? Some guys get dropped and bounce back. Some guys just get knocked out cold. He's hittable and he gets hurt. He's hurtable, but an interesting, like a grittiness, right? He's got good heart. Is Cesar going to wear him down over 3 rounds with low kicks and a jab and a more technical game? Maybe, but Ihor is just so messy and scrappy and exciting that it's tough to envision like a really clean kickboxing performance from the undersized Cesar here. And could this be the first time Ihor gets a takedown? Hell yeah, it could. Yeah. -400. I love chalk. You know me. I'm a parlay guy. Not this one.
Okay. Fair enough. Might have a kickboxing fraud on our hands. I like Cesar Almeida. I've always kind of liked Cesar Almeida. So that's the side that I would be looking at. But like you said, though, -400 chalk, no thank you. I thought I was going to be sneaky here, and enough people were going to be down on him that I'd get a good price in this spot. So without getting a good price, probably not looking to bet it. We'll see what the KO prop comes out and looks like, because I really do think that Ihor can't take much of a punch from a credited solid kickboxer like a guy like this. So maybe I'll find a way to a prop, but that would really be the only way I'd be looking at this one.
People's main events like this, these are the best fights to have no bet on. Yeah. Right? So you're not salty. You're not hoping for something. You just enjoy this one. It's a banger.
Absolutely. No, fireball and popcorn, baby. Have a drink. No mimosas and waffles today. Normal fight card, guys. Normal time. All right. We are making our way through this card, you guys. We've already got 400 live viewers, so thank you all so much for hanging out with us. I am joined by my guy Aaron from Free UFC. I always want to go UFC first. Free UFC Bet Picks. Make sure you check him out. He's mostly on Instagram, but he's building basically everywhere else. The dude is solid gold, so make sure you go on out there and support him as well. Next fight, we've got Marina Rodriguez. She's taking on Iasmin Lucindo. Another changing of the guard fight, right? Like, the UFC has done a real good job of bringing up some of these prospects and really putting them in a position where they can succeed. Iasmin Lucindo is 22 years old, guys. She is just barely getting the ball rolling, and she is absolutely filthy. I mean, 16-5, lots of experience. She's got a long way to go, but she has everything that you're looking for. She's incredibly fast. She's got high-level BJJ, very sneaky, quick submission, opportunistic type of fighter there. I love her striking. I love her pace. I love her volume. The one thing that's kind of a bit of a knock on her is she lost her UFC debut to Iasmin Jauregui. Now, it was like a fight of the night type of situation. They went back and forth and they brawled it out, and it was awesome. And you don't want to hold that against her, but Iasmin has really been like exposed in her last couple of fights. She does not look great. She's been KO'd back to back or not back to back, but she's been KO'd in 2 fights in the UFC now in very, very quick fashion. So the fact that she had that kind of a barn burner with Iasmin Lucindo kind of has me wondering about this girl's power. I used to think it was maybe a little bit more evident. Granted, she's only 22, so there's still more time for her to grow and develop that and, things like that. But Marina Rodriguez, this chick is an absolute veteran at this point. She is 37 years old. She is tall, she is long, and she is a nasty striker on the feet. This girl can get in a high volume decision, no problem. She just went to a split with Jessica Andrade. And even though Andrade is a shell of her former self, that girl can bang. She still hits like a tank. She still comes in there and looks to take your head off. And if you can handle that kind of force and pace and pressure and return enough for the judges to think that you might have won that fight, like that still says something today. She's another fighter who is 1-3 in her last 4, and the writing is on the wall. The UFC wants Iasmin Lucindo to take a step in the right direction here and go ahead and get this win and continue her ascension. But this is one where I want to pump the brakes just a little bit, man, because everyone is high on this girl. All of us know how special she might be and how good she looks. She's just a -175 favorite. That seems so enticing, so incredibly easy to just click and stick in your parlay because, of course, she's winning. And that just gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. This is a massive step up in competition for Lucindo. Theoretically, it's a step down in competition for someone like Marina Rodriguez. And even though I know there's the grappling upside for Lucindo, and I've talked about how Marina Rodriguez's biggest weakness is the grappling. We've seen her really struggle in that area. We've also seen a lot of real improvements in that area. She's harder to hold down these days. She knows how to sneak away and get back up to her feet now. And on top of that, she has never been submitted. So is Iasmin Lucindo going to be the first person who's able to take her down and tap her out? I'm not so sure she is. And if she's not doing that, then we're looking at a high-paced 15-minute fight. And if she's not knocking out someone like Iasmin Jauregui, I don't think she's knocking out Marina Rodriguez. So we've got a 15-minute women's MMA kickboxing match on our hands. I'm kind of leaning dog here, man. I didn't think I was going to say that. Like when I looked at this fight, I thought, oh, of course, Iasmin Lucindo's winning this fight. But how many of these kids recently have we seen get that hold up? Not quite yet. You need a little more seasoning. I kind of feel like that's this spot for Iasmin. One step too fast, too early. And I think Marina Rodriguez probably teaches her a lesson here. And then she's incredible in the future, but she's still only 22. And I think the class and experience of someone like Rodriguez is going to speak volumes in this fight.
My only bet so far is on Marina plus 140.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, like it looks like I might end up playing her again. I mean, Marina's always had incredible takedown defense against the very top of the division. Like she gets taken down rarely, pops back up. It's like these split decisions, tough fights, close fights against people that I don't think Iasmin's ever going to get to that contender level. Like I like her. I've been playing Iasmin, but she's been fighting girls who are like willing to go down, and they're jiu-jitsu players like Polyana. Carolina Kovacevic on paper has really good takedown defense. I think it's kind of skewed and it's inaccurate now. She got pretty easy takedowns on Carolina. So like, I get why Lucindo's a favorite, because you think, okay, well, the only way to beat Marina is to take her down. On paper, I don't know what Carolina's takedown defense is, probably like 70-something%. And they're like, oh, well, Lucindo got Carolina down multiple times, and she's got very good takedown defense, and Carolina's fought the best of the best. Lucindo is going to get takedowns here. I really don't think so. Marina is just super tough to get down. She's got that tall, long frame. She does all the right things. She's fought far better wrestlers than Lucindo here. Mm-hmm. Lucindo's awesome. She's fun. I'm a fan of her. Consistently bet on her, but I think she's going to get blasted on the feet here. I think Marina's live to get a KO, perhaps. I mean, she's going to hurt Lucindo on the feet here. This is like the only fight I have kind of like a super strong read on. There's like all these sketchy fights, sketchy fighters. I'm pretty confident in Marina here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that that's the side that I'm leaning towards, as you say that you're pretty confident there, because I kind of like it, man. Seems like a spot where we might be able to pick off the recency bias. You know what I mean? There's a big thing in MMA where you're only what we saw you the last time out. And the fact of the matter is there's a lot going on here. And I think we could see one step too early for Iasmin Lucindo, who still just needs a whole lot of work before she's ready to hit that contender circle. So glad we're seeing it the same way. Maybe I'll jump in with you there. Shout out my guy, Tim Troiano from the chat jumping in here. If you guys don't know Tim by his name, you don't know what you're missing out on. This guy is the co-host of the Lambo Plays podcast, and him and Narco are the only ones who I know that did really well this past weekend. I know almost everybody got absolutely slaughtered this past weekend, but Tim and Narco absolutely crushed it. So if he says something in the chat, you should perk up and take a little bit of notice. He did say that he was late to the party, and he was talking about the Carla and Tecia fight, and he's mentioning that even still, Carla is far better than Ricci as far as the wrestling goes, even with the negatives, and that he thinks is probably enough to give her the edge over Tecia. And I respect that. I respect it. I think you're absolutely right that she's a different class of wrestler. So you might be right, but that's still just too many angles that I don't like talking about. And not talking about, sorry, too many angles that I like betting on to really go against there. I can't stomach a Carla Esparza bet in 2024, man. Good luck to you if you do.
The inactivity for Carla is something to consider too. Like, we just don't know what we're going to see. She's been out for a while, but Tim's Steelers finally lost. Holy cow, they've had a good start. I love the Lambo podcast. Love Narco and Tim.
How about those Vikings?
Yeah, I'm a Packers fan, and I was.
I know. Let's go.
I was all over the Vikings this week. At least I knew what was going to happen.
Hey, you know what? If you can bet against your own team and you can make money going against your own boys, that's when you know what's up, because that is a very difficult skill, man. Not many people are capable of pulling that off. So props to you for being able to bet against the Pack.
Well, you never bet on your own team. It's the old emotional hedge.
Absolutely. UPK in the chat saying, what's up, bro? What happened with that dog I tailed? Oh, man. UPK, I'm so sorry. I thought she was making improvements, man. She was the right age, the right place, and taking on somebody who I did not think was very good. And all I can say is I was wrong. I am very sorry. I was so wrong.
I was on Daria too. Early in that fight, she fights off 2 takedowns, and I was feeling like a genius.
Oh, me too. I was like, here we go.
Like, I told my rich friend, and I don't send him locks very often, but I told him Marab is an underdog. Like, I send him selective stuff, and I told him Daria, I feel bad.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, man. It was gross. I felt so good when she shucked off that first takedown so easily, and I thought it was all downhill rolling there from there, but then she immediately got put on her back and I had no idea what to do. All right, guys, let's pay a couple bills here real quick. You know what time it is. First and foremost, this is the home of Fight, guys. If you want to hang out and get news blasts and get updated information on the world of MMA and the UFC, make sure you join the Telegram. It is free. Link in the description below. You can join this group and be first to these types of news items. It's pretty awesome. Ever since I jumped in there, I'm really loving it. Also, if you guys want actual picks, make sure you are joining the Winnable for Home of Fight. You guys know I've not sold a single damn thing since I've done this podcast. Everything I do is free, but the Home of Fight team, there is a premium option, and they are absolutely killing it. We are using Winnable. I think it's kind of like Dub Club, so you get the picks sent directly to you when they get locked in, and the boys are absolutely killing it, especially when it comes to Dana White's Contender Series. We also do weekly, like not weekly, but we do promo codes. Like Money was the last one for Money Moicano, where it was like a 5-day free trial, that kind of thing. I'll get the newest updated code for you guys, and I'll put it in the description of the show once I'm able to lock that down. But we will give you a free trial so you can test it out. But if you guys want actual, consistent, real analysis, and you're looking to tail somebody consistent, make sure you check these guys out. Link in the description below. Spectation Sports, if you want to watch regional MMA, if you want to do your tape study for the upcoming Dana White's Contender Series, most of those fighters come from these shows. So a promo code DieHard will get you 20% off of your subscription. That one is going to help you out if you're doing tape study immensely. And they've got some really good MMA shows. So if you just want more fighting in your life, make sure you check out Spectation Sports. I have to shout out the boys over at fightnumbers.com. They've got absolutely incredible tools. They've got a odds board that is up to date. It's the sharpest in the game. They've got the new trends tool so you can see MMA related betting trends. It's a wonderful group, and this is helmed by John Kelly. So he's one of our guys. We want to support them, and very useful tools, especially if you're doing DFS and stuff like that moving forward. I want to shout out my guy Nuke the House. I've told you guys about Nuke, and I've told you guys about Razor Sharp. They are the two people who keep me with money in my pocket. Okay, a lot of people ask me with how badly I'm losing, Clint, how do you still have money to bet on? These guys. And I'm not making this shit up. I would not try and tell you guys something if it wasn't true. Razor Sharp and Nuke the House are the two best bettors across the board that I've ever met in my entire life. And because I am friends with Nuke, he has given me a code, Clint, C-L-I-N-T. It's just my name, a free week using his service so that you guys can test it out and see what he's made of. They stacked piles of money last week in the NFL. It's his best sport. He destroys it every single year. Just give it a try, guys. Promo code Clint will get you a free week. He does live streams. He does live betting, and there's nobody better on planet Earth than Nuke. Please check him out. Last but certainly not least, bet openly. You guys know I'm giving away shit. I'm running contests. We've got the gauntlet, and I do a fun little giveaway contest for the NFL and for MMA every single weekend. That is all housed by Bet Openly, and they are saving gamblers money. We are knocking on the door of damn near $8 billion by bettors saved because the lines are better on this platform. You have a real live person on the other side accepting your bet as opposed to a house. So because of that, it's 1% juice. Everybody gets a better number. The winner pays that 1%, and we're all saving money in the long term. This is better than any promo you're ever going to get from DraftKings or FanDuel. Bet Openly is going to save you money long term. And on top of that, when I do my giveaways, they're all through this platform. So click the link below, get signed up. I'll give you free money at some point if you enter one of my contests. So just try it out that way, and then you don't ever have to worry about it ever again. Thank you guys so much for being here. It is UFC 307 Fight Week, and I am joined by Aaron from Free UFC Bet Picks. We are halfway through breaking down this absolutely awesome card, and we got a couple of fights left to go. Next up, we've got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and he's taking on Joaquin Numansa Buckley. Man, I'm a fan of Buckley 2.0. I got to tell you, the D1 Buckley, you know, he's putting his whole game together. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He missed a little bit with that last one when he was calling people out. He does a pretty good job on the mic. He cuts a pretty good promo, but the last one was, it wasn't his best work. I like Buckley. I think he is headed the right direction, and he's taking on a very, very old man, 41-year-old striker, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who, to be fair, looks like he's still got it. Okay, I still love the movement, the footwork. You lost to Shavkat in your last fight. Cry me a river. Like, the guy is doing wonders against somebody like Kevin Holland, who agrees, hey, we're not going to grapple. The thing is, I don't think Buckley's going to make that kind of an agreement with him. Buckley's the type of guy that's going to get in there, bite down on the mouthpiece, try and punch your face in, and if that doesn't work, he'll double leg your ass and sit on your chest. So and that was sit, S-I-T, on your chest. Buckley is not going to respect Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And I think that might be a problem for old Steve in this day and age. I think he's going to have an issue with people who just get in his face and are relentless and won't leave him alone. And so I'm kind of leaning Buckley. I don't like the height and reach disadvantage. I know Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is the more accredited striker. Like, on paper, it's like Wonderboy's better when it comes to kickboxing. But this is an MMA fight in 2024. I don't like betting people over the age of 40. Father Time is undefeated, and eventually even gems like Stephen Thompson are going to slow down. I kind of think the end of the road is coming here for Wonderboy at some point. Does Buckley catch him and knock him out? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, back in the day, Anthony Pettis was able to do it with a Showtime kick off the fence. So, or not kick. Sorry. It was a Superman punch off the cage. So he can be knocked out, but let's be real. Buckley can be knocked out too. He's been KO'd 4 times in his career here. So I can see some violence in this fight, man. What do you think of this one? It's an interesting matchup.
Yeah, super interesting matchup. Last time out, Buckley had trouble with the range and footwork early from Nurselton. We all remember his mouthpiece, flying across the stage from straight shots from Kevin Holland. Like, we've seen Buckley struggle with this type of guy before. If you look at UFCstats.com, you're like, oh, well, Buckley's just going to get takedowns easy, right? I don't know, man. Like, those Nursultan takedowns he got, 2 of them were off of like body knees from Rozaboyev that he caught.
Well,
one of them
let's not compare Nursultan Frodzaboev to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson here.
That's fair. I mean, you're right. Like, we've seen Wonderboy fight off takedowns from guys way better. Buckley's takedowns against Nursultan were a little misleading, I think. 2 of them were off flying, like not flying knees, but like jumping body knees. One of them, Nursultan just fell down. There was one takedown of like the 5 that Buckley got that was like just really nice. He backed Ruzaboyev up to the cage, landed a nice shot on him, got the body lock, and just slammed him. It was really solid. But like most of those takedowns Buckley got, they were kind of not fluky, just well-timed, high fight IQ from Buckley, nice, smart takedowns that I don't think Wonderboy will give him. Like, Wonderboy's got better footwork, better range management. He's more just careful, for lack of a better word, about getting taken down by something stupid. He's not going to fall down spinning, throwing a spinning kick like we see from many guys, right? Like, if Wonderboy gets taken down, Buckley's going to have to earn it. Buckley also had major trouble keeping Ruzaboyev down. I think Wonderboy's takedown defense is better than Nursultan's, but Nursultan had good get-ups. He was like kicking Buckley off really nicely, threatened an armbar. Like, so, I think Buckley's got some issues here. I don't think it's just as easy as saying he's going to get takedowns. If you're expecting him to get inside, get in the pocket and blast Wonderboy, I think that's easier said than done as well. Like, as I mentioned, Holland knocked Buckley out, pieced him up easy. Wonderboy beat Kevin Holland only because Holland let him up. But like, this is a guy who recently beat Kevin Holland at range. This is a guy who recently stuffed a ton of takedowns from Shavkat. I had all the fucking money on Shavkat. I hope we're late enough in the stream to drop some F-bombs. I had all the money on Shavkat.
No, after the 5-minute mark, you're good. Let's go. F-bombs all day.
We all did. Tell me somebody who bet against Shavkat. Nobody. We all had Shavkat, and we were all sweating our balls off because he could not get Wonderboy down. This is that guy. Wonderboy's that guy. Like, I like Buckley, and I like the resurgence, and I've been betting on him as well. I think he was an underdog against Ruzi, and we were like, we bet Buckley. This is a tough fight. Biggest step up of his career. You could say it's a much tougher fight than Kevin Holland, who knocked him out.
Yeah. No, that is a very true and valid point, man. I kind of made a mistake, I feel like, in looking at the Shavkat fight and going, I remember that fight. I'll be honest with you. I skipped that one when I was doing my tape study. I saved a little time there. And you're absolutely right.
Shavkat was desperate for takedowns.
I remember that. Now that you're saying it, it's like playing in the back of my mind, and I'm like, oh shit! Like, you've got a very valid point here, man. Now, I do want to ask you though, what do you think about violence in this spot? Because if Buckley can't get a takedown, does Wonderboy let him hang around, or do we see a violent finish because Buckley pushes the action? Like, I could see him running into a knee, or, you know what I mean? Coming in desperate, trying to get this fight over with. And we saw it with Kevin Holland when he couldn't do much against Kevin late in that fight. Kevin finally found the shot and put him on ice. I could see an under here.
It's tough. It's just such a tough one. This one, I could see it going so many ways. I could see both guys getting a finish. I could see both guys winning a decision different ways. So I just couldn't tell you. I feel you. I've been thinking about all the same things, but I can just see 4 different outcomes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm with you there though, man, but you have absolutely opened my eyes to the world of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson here. I'm going to need to go back and do a little bit of additional research on this one because, hey, you guys know I'll keep it absolutely square and honest with you. I missed a step on this one. I'm going to go do some additional legwork and go back and do some more research here because I feel like I missed a spot. So I will give you, obviously, if I make a bet or something, I'll post it out there for the world to see. So keep a peep on the socials, and we'll circle back on the Friday show. I'll let you know what I come up with here. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Real quick from the chat, Hunter, Mo, will you just get off the damn burner? If you're going to talk shit, come in the chat, be yourself. Don't hide behind a fake handle. Fuck. Shit. We'll shut up about the situation.
I'm in a Discord with him, Brandon K, one of the old school goats who doesn't do videos enough anymore. I'm in a Discord with Hunter. He's like that all the time.
Are we sure it's Hunter?
Yeah, well, Hunter. I always think Hunter Azure. That's how I remember him.
Oh, Hunter
Azure.
He just got his ass tapped out too, so that story checks out.
And all of Hunter's like trolling just paid off. He just got mentioned on a live stream.
I know. Congratulations, you've had your moment.
I don't even know him. I don't know him. I'm not picking a fight. He's gonna go troll on my shit now.
No, sorry about that. I put you in the line of fire there. You're next.
No, but I recognize him. I think that's his real name because that's but he has good reads. He's a sharp guy. Like he's fun. He's just like angry. Just chill out, bro.
Those people are so weird. I never understand. It's like have some fun, man. Just sit back and relax. We're all MMA fans here. Have a good time. Anyway, we got a couple more fights to talk about, you guys. Next up, we have got Roman Dolidze, and he's taking on Kevin Trailblazer Holland. I can't believe they're putting Kevin Holland and Wonderboy on the same fight card together. I still can't get over how that fight went. Like the fact that Holland had Wonderboy just dead to rights and was like, no, I'm going to make the worst decision possible, and then proceeded to get his ass kicked. Like, we all love Big Mouth. We all love Kevin Holland, but he is maybe the only fighter that I would put under Ion Cutelaba when it comes to his fight IQ. Like, this man does not make correct decisions when the cage door is closed. You can always count on him to be fun. You can always count on him to be entertaining, but you also can always count on him to do something fucking stupid in the middle of a fight. He still has no takedown defense. He still is not able to get up. And Hunter, no, I'm not going to take a damn thing you say seriously. Thank you for checking in. Roman Dolidze, in theory, has a grappling advantage here in this fight. And that's because Kevin Holland can't defend takedowns from anybody. However, Roman Dolidze goes in the bad IQ bucket too, man. He is another guy I will always reference. Coach, you want me to submit him? Like, instead of just doing it and winning the damn fight, he's goofing off, talking to his coach, pulling for ankles, and then losing decisions. Like, that's Roman Dolidze. Like, this guy is nasty with his power. I love my Georgian warriors. He can do damage, but anytime he fights somebody who's halfway decent, almost contender level fighter, he loses. He has to be able to just completely outmuscle and maul you to be able to have a path to victory. It's always the physicality with him that kind of shines through. And that's where if he comes in here with his singlet on, if he takes Kevin Holland down, I'm sorry, Kevin Holland's fucked. Roman Dolidze is going to run through him. It's going to be the easiest fight of Dolidze's life. But I don't know that he's going to do it. I don't know that he's going to wrestle. If he doesn't take this fight to the ground and we kickbox, Kevin Holland has a distinct advantage here. And Dolidze is not nearly as good as someone like Wonderboy. Holland can beat this guy on the feet. Now, Dolidze is built like freaking, he's made out of iron. You're not going to knock him out. And that's kind of Kevin Holland's thing, is he'll goof around with people and then find that kill shot. There's no kill shot when you're talking about this guy. So buyer beware. There's so many ways this fight could go, and it's mostly because the two fighters that are involved in this fight are guys you simply cannot trust. Kevin Holland is not finishing Roman Dolidze. I'm going to go on record and just say that. Kevin Holland is not finishing Dolidze because you're not submitting Dolidze and you're not knocking out Dolidze. I don't care who you are. So it just ain't happening. Kevin Holland could win a decision. Roman Dolidze could let a decision slip away from him, but by all means, he's got every advantage in this fight. Roman Dolidze should win on Saturday. I am calling for the upset. Roman Dolidze is a short dog, is going to get the win, but I don't want to put my money on him, just like the Ion Cutelaba fight this past weekend, man. Yes, he probably should win, but I can't count on him to have a real game plan and stick to it.
Yeah, it's tough. This is a 205er against a welterweight, right? God, I mean, so
2 full weight classes between these guys.
Yeah, and it's especially applicable because of their styles, right? Like, if Roman didn't want to grapple, then who cares about the weight advantage, right? But he does want to grapple. The thing that sticks out to me, so we all know Dolidze's got power, should have a grappling edge. We all know the way to beat Kevin Holland is to take him down. 2 things I'd mention is that I thought Kevin, and this sounds kind of crazy because Hamzat took him down and tapped him out, but I think Kevin Holland's like takedown defense looks impressively good, surprisingly good against Khamzat. Like, he really made him earn it. He was fighting it off for a while. I think Kevin Holland can defend takedowns here. And the last time out against Anthony Smith, I thought Roman just looked incredibly bad. This is a middleweight moving up against an aging light heavyweight. You expect Dolidze to go in there and look lightning fast, right? Like, everyone was on Dolidze finish. This is Anthony Smith, who gets hurt all the time. Like, Dolidze looks so slow in their last fight against Anthony Smith. Incredibly slow.
He did.
He was actually getting pieced up. It was kind of like a knockdown, kind of a takedown. It was just a weird thing where he blitzed Anthony with like a 4-punch combo. None of the punches landed. And Anthony just kind of got tipped over backwards. It was early in round 2. Dolidze, rides out kind of like the whole round on top of him, and that turned the tide. Until that point, Anthony Smith was just piecing him up. Anthony Smith looked like the fast guy against a middleweight. Like, the striking discrepancy here is just incredibly vast. It's just, will Roman have the fight IQ to go for takedowns? That's the question. And then I think Kevin's going to do a little bit better job defending them than most people think Kevin will do. So my initial lean was like, holy cow, how is Kevin, minus 170 against like a 205er? But my pick is Kevin.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, man, I can absolutely see what you're saying, that Roman just is a step too slow and refuses to grapple and loses a decision. It's so clear as day to me that that's probably how that fight goes. It's just, I want to hit up my boy Chris Curtis. I just want to message him and be like, is the game plan to wrestle? That's all I need to know. If the game plan is to wrestle with Roman Dolidze, he's winning this fight. Point blank, bar none, end of story, over. But if the game plan is not specifically to wrestle, or it's a classic Dolidze, just get in there. Holland probably wins 29-28.
Yeah, it is a tough one. It's all about game plans. It's there's a handful of fights like that on this card. It's all about like trusting what they're going to do. But, I do think Kevin will do a little bit better defending the takedowns. Like, the Dolidze footwork is just so slow. He really is going to have to back Kevin up with some strikes, get him against the cage to even get his hands around him. If there is space at all, he's going to have trouble getting his hands around him. This is a large cage. I try not to read too much into the Apex small cage versus pay-per-view big cage, but this is a matchup where it could favor Kevin, have a little more room.
Hey, when you've got Leadfoot stumbling his way forward to close the distance, that extra couple feet makes a difference. It absolutely matters here. Good call. Good call. All right, everybody, we're getting to the good stuff here. Kayla Harrison is back. She takes on Ketlen Vieira in a fight where it's just next woman up, man. I'll be honest with you. This is a fight where I don't have a ton to say because it's Kayla fucking Harrison. Like, they have done everything they can to give her every opportunity in the world to get in here and succeed. The PFL wanted to keep her, absolutely, but she literally lost her first fight ever because she got bored. Like, she pulled the John Jones where she looked so far past her opponent, she showed up a little underprepared. She actually got the L on her record, whereas John Jones got bailed out by the officials. But Kayla Harrison does have that one blip on her record. If it wasn't for that, she'd be perfect, undefeated. And I'm shocked they didn't jump her straight to a title fight, man. I'll be completely honest with you. The fact that she is going from Holly Holm to Ketlen, I'm really surprised. Maybe it's just because people are booked. Maybe they're trying to build her hype a little bit. I'm not sure what that is, because when you step into the UFC and you sub someone like Holly Holm as easily as she did, I thought that was it. They were just going to set up the super fight straight up away immediately. Maybe she wants to stay more active. I'm not sure what the reasoning is. Ketlen Vieira, 14-3, 33 years old, 33. She's a big girl, man. I like me some Ketlen Vieira. I've done well with Ketlen. We've bet on her a couple of times. I want to say I bet Rocky Pennington against her, though, and I got that split benefit there. She's done very, very well in the UFC recently. It's a 3-2 type of run that she's on right now. I like the aggression. She can get tired, though. You guys remember back to the Yana Santos fight. That's the one where she was hanging on Yana Santos for dear life, and Yana was like talking shit to her, and round 3, from a backpack position because she was like beating her in the face. Even though Ketlen Vieira had back control, she couldn't do shit from that position, and she was just absolutely gassed. Tell me less, man. You've got a girl who's going to get tired grappling versus Kayla fucking Harrison. One thing I do want to talk about. Okay, obviously it's Kayla, but obviously I'm picking Kayla to win. Inside the distance, probably going to be a TKO. The one thing that I learned about Kayla Harrison in PFL is that you zigzag. They make you pick which way she's going to win because the money line is too chalked up to play. The inside the distance is like minus 350. Everyone knows what's going to happen, but they'll give you even money on either sub or KO, and you got to pick a side. Well, she got the sub in her last fight. We're going KO this time. I think she's going to get a ground and pound, back control, flatten her out, elbow her to shit. So I'm going to say TKO. But man, I got to ask, have you seen the Impractical Jokers episode with Kayla Harrison?
I was about to say I've seen every Impractical Jokers episode, but no, I have not. So
how did you miss that one?
They must have some new seasons. There was a time in my life where True TV Impractical Jokers was on. Like I didn't watch TV unless it was Impractical Jokers.
Dude, one of my favorite shows of all time. So it's a punishment, all right? And it's got to be like season 5 or something like that. Murr loses the episode and he has to go to a wedding. Now, at that wedding, he has to talk up a girl. Well, then they pan over and the girl is Kayla fucking Harrison. And she's in like a just gorgeous dress. She is done up. She's looking girlied out. But of course, the dress comes to here and you can see just the gigantic shoulder and arm muscles. And he's like, I have to talk to her? The whole gimmick is that every time he comes to talk to her, he's not allowed to leave her alone. So she throws him through something. So she like judo tosses his ass through a table. And then she like dumps him into the pool. And like, it's hysterical because they get in his ear and they're like, Murr, you got to go get her. And he'll like sprint from across this wedding to go get her attention. And as soon as he gets there, she whoops his ass. One of the funniest episode punishments of all time. If you haven't seen it, you got to look it up. Anyway, talk to me about the fight and let me know what you're thinking here, man.
I got to see that. Murr's tiny too, so I know she was throwing him around.
So funny.
You know, like, what I would do, I would make Kayla Harrison go like hit on guys in front of their wife or girlfriend.
Oh, geez.
And watch those women just like be like, well, it was nice knowing you, my good man. Like,
yep.
I'm not saying the word. My God. All right, that's so this is a super tough one. I'm a little scared because you mentioned you think Kayla's going to get the finish. Like Holly, I think we have to take everything that happens now with a grain of salt with her, right? Like this is a former boxing champion who Ketlen pieced up, and Holly had to hold on for dear life against the cage. You know, loses a close decision there. It was a damage over position type of thing. Like Holly. You know, I don't know that Kayla's going to get a whole bunch of finishes at the highest level of this division in the UFC. To me, I think she's a decision machine. And to me, my read here is don't be parlaying Kayla minus 700. I think you're far safer playing some overs. You know, I remember the Larissa Pacheco fight the last time out. I had Kayla Harrison by decision parlayed into everything because I knew she was not going to finish Pacheco. Pacheco's a beast. And then I felt so stupid because just the odds to go to decision were not much worse than Kayla to win by decision. And I was just so stupid for being a little greedy there when I should have just played some overs, right? And that's how they get you. Like Kayla Harrison money line is available weeks in advance, and you pop that in your parlays. They don't offer those props in time, right? But I just think an over here is far safer. Ketlen has fought off like all of her recent takedowns except one very nice takedown by Miesha Tate. She fought off. Rocky was 0 for 2. Who else? Apologies.
No,
Rocky was 0 for 2. Like, you know, there's been good fighters, good wrestlers, including Pennington, the champion, that have not been able to get takedowns on her. Holm was 0 for 6. There's a bunch of cage control. Tate went 1 for 6. So she's only allowed one takedown in her last 14 attempts against like former champions. Is Kayla going to get her down? For sure, but I don't think Kayla is going to get her down in arm triangle or ground and pounder. So that's my read. Play some overs. Over 1.5 is probably going to be minus 500. I think that's safer and better odds than the Kayla money line.
Okay, man, I hear you, but I think the thing that people might be missing here a little bit, and when it comes to women's MMA, I think this is actually something that people miss a lot, and that's the judo. We were just talking about the episode where she throws Mur through a table. Her judo tosses are on another level, and that's something that people who are generally good at defending takedowns really struggle against, because you get so planted, you get low, you dig in, you got your base. That's the death knell for judo. As soon as you do that and you're planted and you're heavy, that's when they kick the leg out from under you and you go flying halfway across the cage. I think she's going to be so finessed in mixing of the wrestling and the judo that it's going to catch Ketlen Vieira off guard. And I know don't get me wrong, I know she's good. I know she's a high level athlete, that kind of thing. She's got time to prepare. But like anything else, you can only improve so much in a certain amount of time. She's worked really hard on her takedown defense her entire career to get where she is. And now they give her a judo girl. She's got one camp to get good at defending all these different trip takedowns. I just don't think it's going to happen. Eventually, I think that we will see Kayla Harrison find the secret sauce that breaks that base, and she'll get her to the ground. And then I think it's going to be a matter of cardio, and I think she's going to tire her out. Now, I hear you on the over. I don't think this is going to be a round one smash, but I do think round two, round three, as Ketlen starts heaving a little bit, she starts breathing hard, Kayla doesn't stop. She's just going to keep on working her and eventually break her. I like a round two, round three type of finish.
That makes sense. And you raise a good point about it's a different type of takedown defense, those judo throws. But on the other hand, it also it kind of necessitates this need for Ketlen to be going for the top control and trying to be heavy to give Kayla those opportunities to use her own weight against her. When Ketlen's just skirting around this big cage with better footwork and Kayla's running forward, trying to wrap her arms around her, trying to get an over-under, head arm choke, trying to put her butt into her and toss her, that's different, right? So it is a different type of takedown defense, but it's also a different type of takedown offense. It almost it requires a tango. It requires two people engaging in that clinch. And if Ketlen just gets low, sticks her butt out, uses range, sticks her fingers in Kayla's face, I could see Kayla going 2 for 7 on takedowns here and winning a close decision. But I don't think she's going to toss her on her neck and get on top of her and pound her out.
Okay, fair enough.
At minus 700, I would take the fight to start round 2 or something. Again, what does that mean, everybody?
Round 2 seems decent enough.
It means Kayla's getting a round 1 submission here. Arm triangle.
That is women's MMA for you. Hey, JB knows what's up. He said when Mur took off the wig, that was wicked. That was, him wearing the wig for an entire season that was the other guy's hair shaved off. Oh God, I love that show. It's so good. If you guys haven't seen Impractical Jokers, no, they haven't sponsored the show. I would die if Impractical Jokers sponsored my podcast. I love them so much. I will replace Joe. I'll be the next Joker. Okay, I can step up in life from here. That's going to be the next thing. Is I'm going to get on TV.
Let's both get on that show.
There we go.
It'll be great for us, and the show will be just far less funny.
Absolutely. No, my wife's eyes would not roll harder than if I was on that show. She doesn't think I'm funny. She used to. When we were dating, she used to. It happens. It's okay. It'll happen to you too, guys. Younger men out there, you've got a girl that thinks you're hysterical. It's coming. All right, guys. Next up, we got Jose Aldo taking on Mario Bautista. This is your co-main event of the evening. And man, I just don't think there's ever anything wrong with taking Jose Aldo at plus money. I feel like that's just blatantly obvious. And I know that might be the most bare, low-level base way to think about this kind of a situation, but Aldo is a legend, man. Even at 38 years old, he is doing so well right now. He did some boxing. He came back to MMA. He took out Jonathan Martinez and looked like $1 million doing it. Boy just needed a break. Homie just needed to change it up a little bit. And now he's coming back and they're making him earn that paycheck, man. Mario Bautista, 14-2, 31 years old, coming out of the lab. He looks like $1 million right now. But those 2 losses, you got to pay attention. Those 2 losses were by finish. I know he's tough to put away, but I have always said that I feel like Mario Bautista is low-key chinny, man. I think he's recoverability is solid, but he gets rocked a lot. We've seen him hurt in several fights before. And I think he's going to be in here with a guy that doesn't do well with him stylistically. If you come fight Jose Aldo and you go, "What's your best technique, bro?" And you go, "Leg kicks." It's over, son. Like that's I feel like the best part of Mario Bautista's game is the fact that he's a really good leg kicker. And if you aren't doing that here, man, you're not getting leg kicks off against Jose Aldo. That just ain't gonna happen. I like the guy's slick jiu-jitsu. He's got great back takes. I mean, he choked out my poor guy, Brian Boom Kelleher. That really broke my heart. But he just showed how slick and smooth he is on the ground. But Jose Aldo is one of those guys, when we talk about other people and we're like, hey, you know how hard it is to take down this guy? He's not quite Jose Aldo. Like, he's the bar, man. He's the standard for footwork and takedown defense. Mario's not going to be able to go out there and take this guy down. Are you finishing Jose Aldo? You know who knocks out Jose Aldo? Guys that drag him deep in fights. He's got to get so exhausted that he can't keep up with the kids anymore. The guys that do that, Max Holloway, Petr Yan in a 5-round fight where I was screaming for them to stop it a round sooner, man. Like, that's how you KO Jose Aldo. One-hitter quitter, that shit don't work on this guy. You're just not doing it. In a 15-minute fight, Jose Aldo's cardio has been something that I've kind of critiqued a little bit recently as he gets older, but in a 15-minute fight, that does not cause him a problem. In a 5-round fight, it's an issue. In a 15-minute fight, I don't think there's anybody who can push enough of a pace to actually cause damage to Jose Aldo. So maybe Mario Bautista shocks me and he comes out here and he just puts on a glorious performance and he smokes the GOAT and he claims himself the next rightful challenger in this weight class. I just don't see it happening. If you're getting pounded out by Trevin Jones, I mean, I know everybody gets caught. It happens. But if you're getting rocked that badly by a guy like Trevin Jones, who's been dropped by the UFC, I think Jose Aldo is going to cause problems for you. And on top of that, we must always, always pay respect to the rib roasters of Jose Aldo. Just the best in the game at making sure your body gets just as purpley as your head does when he's done with you. I love the way this guy strikes. And he's been doing nothing but box. His hands are going to be so good in this fight, man. I like a dog shot here on Jose Aldo.
Yeah, that's probably going to be my second bet. I agree. We were on him last time out. Jonathan Martinez was on a crazy streak. Like, he was the hot thing. He was torching everybody. A couple years from now, you're going to look back and look at that Jose Aldo win against Jonathan Martinez, and it might not stick out as impressively as it should. Jonathan Martinez was on a winning streak, a torching streak at that time. So it's like, all right, yeah, obviously Jose is probably going to win the boxing. Can Mario get takedowns? Oh, Mario's got 44% takedown defense or offense. It's a little bit better than Merab's. Merab's only got 38% takedown offense. Maybe like Mario can get takedowns here. No, I really don't think so. You look at the guys Mario's taken down. It's like Guido Canetti, Realtor Benito Lopez, Brian Kelleher, undersized Wu-Tang fan, Jay Perrin. Like, the guys that Mario Bautista is taking down give him an inflated and still unimpressive 44% takedown success. There's zero chance he's taking down Jose Aldo here. Merab went 0 for 16 against him. Jose is going to piece him up. I'm with you. And I like Mario. I'm big on Mario, always on him. But, like, in Ricky Simone, I'm a Ricky Simone guy. Ricky Simone went 2 of 13 against Mario, and like Mario pieced him up. That's just a binary fight. If Ricky can't get him down, Mario's going to win, right? So like, that's a good win, the Ricky Simone win. Other than that, he doesn't really have any great wins. I liked him on Blackshear. He's solid. But to say this is a step up for Mario is a gigantic understatement. And then to make him a favorite, and the path that everyone, if you think Mario's going to win, you expect him to get takedowns, zero chance. He's literally going to land 0% takedowns here. Mario's probably going to go 0 for 4. He's not going to take Jose down. He's got great low kicks. He trains with the best small fighters in the world. McGee, obviously Sean O'Malley, like Kai Matrix, studs. Like, there's no better place to be a small fighter and train than MMA Lab. Like, Mario's a stud. He's got all the right pieces around him.
They've got great supplements.
They got great, like, hair dye, cornrow people. They got great. They got it made. There's worse places to be than Arizona at the MMA lab. And
True.
but it's, we're talking about the GOAT here, and this is about to be a y'all must have forgot type of situation. I was amazed Jose was a dog here.
All right. I love it. I love it, man. I know we're all going to kind of group think tank this one, and maybe Jose Aldo is going to end up being the dog everybody this week likes, but I kind of don't care. Sometimes the public wins, right? Sometimes we're all just correct, even when we're all on the same side. And that is going to be your Link Memorial Dog of the Week, you guys. We're going to go with Jose Aldo this week as the Link Memorial Dog of the Week. I still haven't re-uploaded the damn photo. I'm going to get on Maddie. I cannot believe they took my photo out of here. You only get a certain amount of space in this damn thing, and they've got so many overlays, they had to delete the Link one, I guess, to make space for it. And I keep forgetting to put it back in there. So that's on me. But Link is howling for us. We're going to get this one back for him. I messed up with Zeleniakova last week. We're getting this one back with Jose Aldo, the king of Rio himself.
Dude, there's something romantic about Jose Aldo as the dog of the week for Link. Come on. Like, tell me Jose is not going to bring this home.
Oh, he's coming. He's coming full force. It's happening. We're getting this one back. We're getting on track, baby. All right, guys. And I misspoke. I said that was your co-main event of the week. I do apologize. I was wrong. I had one. I missed one of the tabs here. So we've got a couple more fights to talk about real quick. Co-main event of the evening. Raquel Pennington.
Oh, these girls are catching strays right now.
I know.
They're catching strays. Clint just dismissed them.
And it's my girl, too. It's Rocky, man. I'm sorry. Rocky, I'm so sorry. Okay. Are we doing the Pennington parlay? Is anybody interested in a Pennington parlay? Just rip right off the top here. We'll go ahead and fade Carla Esparza and then say and still in the main event. Here it comes out to about plus 156. That's some meme shit type of parlay that I wouldn't hate anybody for doing for the shits and giggles of it. Rocky Pennington, dude. I love this chick. I mean, I've been singing her praises for years. She is so good, and she's just so underrated and so underappreciated. Like, she's like the female Merab almost, man, where like everyone hated him right up until he won the belt, right? He was boring to watch. He's not exciting, but she just knows how to win. You go out there and you box people up, which her boxing is getting way better the last couple of years, mind you. She has great cardio. She's got insane durability and toughness. She's got the heart. She just refuses to quit. She is hard to finish. So she ends up in like a lot of really close fights, but she's fought the who's who, man. You've got to go back to 2020 for her last loss. And when she was on this losing skid, it was the prime of women's MMA. Prime Holly Holm, prime Jermaine Durandamy, prime Amanda Nunes, prime Holly Holm again, prime Jessica Andrade. I mean, like, these are the names that she's losing to at the pinnacle of their powers. So she's been hanging around the top so long that she is rematching the greatest women MMA fighters we've ever seen. Rocky deserves far more respect. And it's a Michael Bisping-esque moment for me, man. The fact that she finally made it to the title and she got gold wrapped around her waist, like, I choked up. Like, lifelong dream, finally accomplished it, finally got gold. Like, it was a beautiful moment, except that I bet against her. That kind of soured it a little bit. I was a little bummed about that. And I had lots of futures tickets on Mayra Bueno Silva that went up in flames. So, little bummer. But I was happy for her. This is interesting for me, because as much as I've been a fan of Raquel Pennington, I've been one of the few people pounding the drum for Juliana Pena. Man, I cashed a huge ticket when she beat Amanda Nunes. And I went right back to the well and said that she was going to defend her title against Amanda Nunes in the rematch. Now, obviously, I was wrong in the rematch, but I'm one of the people picking up what Pena's putting down as far as the fact that she is really underrated. People do not give her credit for what she's capable of. Amanda Nunes had to go try hard mode, full focus, to come back in there and get her belt back. But the questions surrounding Pena at this point, Pennington is at the peak of her powers. She's got the belt. She's never been more confident. She feels like it's a lifetime achievement that's just finally, become true. She always knew in her heart she was capable, and she's looking like $1 million now with that gold around her waist. She's going to come in confident. What about Pena? Yeah, Pena was calling out Nunes for 2 straight years. Got ignored. Nunes retired. They're 1-1. Nobody cared because Nunes whooped their ass so badly. They were like, oh, no, we know how this goes. We don't need that. She's been calling out someone who isn't here anymore this whole time. She's got a 2-year layoff. Now, from what I've seen, she trains with guys like Ignacio Bahamondes and Bilal. And I've always said the best base in MMA is training with Bilal Muhammad. So if she's in there, man, if she's taking it seriously, if she's active, if she's not in some little sideshow camp where she's running her own thing, bringing people in, if she's really in there with Bilal, I think Pennington might be coming in here like a dog on a bone. Could be a little underrated. Could have a shot to actually pull off this upset because there's very few people in this division that have the pace, the wrestling, the pressure, the refusal to fuck off the way that Juliana Pena does. And she got Amanda Nunes out of there because of that ability to just keep on pressing where other people stop. She breaks people. But I don't know if that's the same person after 2 years. I don't know if we're getting prime Juliana Pena. I don't know if we're getting motivated Juliana Pena, or if this is just, hey, I know you're basically hanging it up, but we kind of need someone to step in here for a title fight in a co-main event. You want a shot at it? Like it could be that kind of a throwaway situation for the UFC because she's a notable name and they're trying to build the hype of Kayla Harrison. I'm not sure. At 35 years old, I don't know what Juliana Pena I'm getting. So I kind of have to lean Raquel Pennington, but don't get me wrong. I am so shaky on this. I'm giving you guys a pick because that's my job on this show. I can see such a clear path for Juliana Pena. Rocky Pennington has really good takedown defense. She's got really good cardio. Pena might have better takedown offense. Pena might be the one person who can match or pass that cardio. If there's anybody who is ever going to take Rocky down and break her with pace and pressure, it would be Juliana Pena. And the one time we really saw Rocky Pennington just kind of give up and throw the towel in back in 2018, man, Amanda Nunes beat the brakes off her so badly. She quit on the stool. Like they had to like throw the towel in. And I know Pena doesn't have those kinds of hands, but when you're tired and she gets you on your back or takes your back and flattens you out and starts pounding on you with punches, like it's the same level of exhaustion. It's the same type of breaking offense. I know a lot of people are just going to know what they saw last time, and Pennington looking career best with gold wrapped around her waist is going to be the easy pick. This line is close for a reason. Juliana Pena is very live in this fight. I'm going to do some digging. I'm going to do some research. I'll see if I can find out anything about the training situation. I'm going to listen to the fighter interviews. That's one of the big things. I need to hear what's been going on in the life of Juliana Pena that's kept her out for so long. Because if she's in and motivated, this is a very dangerous woman, and you people cannot sleep on her. So tentatively picking Rocky. Can't wait to hear your take, man. What do you make of this fight?
Banger, can't wait for this one. Juliana Pena, cringe lord. It's not Henry Cejudo. It's not anybody else. She's the cringe number one pound for pound by far, easy.
Over Jessica Ai?
Oh my gosh. I like this. I mean, I still have so much respect for Jessica Ai having a third eye on her head. Like you could see her skull, and Jessica Ai didn't want to quit. I got respect for Jessica third eye. But I do lean towards the Pennington parlay, but I'm a little worried about, like, I'll call it the pesky parlay. Like the two least likable fighters out of all these fighters, Esparza and Pena just winning. I'm a little worried about Pena winning the most boring 25-minute fight you've ever seen, and then getting on the mic like, Stone Cold Steve Austin, calling out Amanda Nunes, saying,
well, she will.
Yeah, Amanda Nunes is ducking her. I'll mention this too. The reason I like betting on MMA is because you can trust them. You can trust that they're going to try. This is their health on the line, and they get double the paycheck if they win. Like, that's not the case in NBA, right? Like, you can trust that MMA fighters are going to try. I've never thought that an MMA fight was thrown, but I think one of Juliana Pena's big wins might have been thrown. And, I think if you watch it, you can kind of detect that. If you look at like how many parlays had her opponent in it, it makes sense that, I don't really credit Juliana's biggest win as a real win, just frankly. Like, I can't let my distaste, sway my pick and taint my pick because, gosh, I just hate her so much. I can't even tell you. So this is a really tough one. I'm on Rocky to end the year as champion at plus 420.
Nice.
But when it comes to futures, I'll tell you, I think Amanda Nunes is going to come back, and you can get her at pretty good odds to come back as the champion for next year. I think you got that.
I am so glad you said that, because that's where I was going next. You guys, I know Amanda Nunes retired, but she is not Khabib. She didn't promise her mom she would never fight again. She got tired. She had been doing it too long. She got the belt back. There was no mountain to climb. But the UFC is setting this up perfectly. There's going to be one of two outcomes here. Now, Saturday, if Pena takes the belt back, she is more than going to call out Amanda Nunes, and that's already going to be the bait of, hey, you're sitting on the sidelines and I've got your belt, come get me. That is in itself a situation. But Kayla Harrison is knocking on the door. And the one thing that might get Amanda Nunes out of retirement is the GOAT status. Kayla Harrison, if she takes the belt, is going to throw that thing over her shoulder, and she's going to tell Amanda Nunes that I'm the GOAT. I always was. I'm here in the UFC now. The only way you can prove who really is the best of all time is to step in this cage and face me, and that's going to do it. So one way or the other, I'm with you. I actually think Amanda Nunes might come out of retirement at the end of 2025. And if you guys look at the futures, like right now they've got him up at DraftKings, Nunes is 10-1 to be the champion of this weight class at the end of the year. Kayla Harrison is -175. It's one of those situations where, man, if you want to lay it with Kayla and then put a half unit on Nunes, if they fight, you're free rolling, because that's set up to be the fight to end 2025. That's the whole idea of what the UFC is putting together right now. So I'm so happy you said that. 100% agree. And if you want to put a flyer on Nunes to come out of retirement and try and take that title back and be the true GOAT, I think there's something to that.
I think, Tom Aspinall, Manon, Amanda Nunes, that's a juicy parlay. Like, the thing about
You're missing one, though.
Who?
Umar.
Oh, I feel you. I was on Umar. Yeah, I had a nice. I totally feel you there. Yep. The thing about these futures is, like, you don't want to put a -175 in, let that money, just let them hold that money for 15 months. Yeah. So, like, these futures, you want to get frisky, right? So I think, a nice little 4-leg parlay.
Yeah. If you're throwing a dart, like 10-1, we saw situations like Sean Strickland became champion by the end of the year. They give you 100-1 odds on some of these people that come out of left field. Those are the types of darts you throw. Don't put a whole lot of money in, but have a big cash out opportunity at the end of the year, or a big hedge opportunity at the end of the year when you're in the right situation. If you get a little bit lucky, I'm with you. It's tough to ask to tie that kind of money up for an entire calendar year. I'm actually kind of struggling with that myself right now, because I put a 5-unit bet on Umar to be the champion at the end of 2025, doubling down, tripling down on my last 2 years worth of investments on these future bets here. I got Umar at +330 right before the title fight between Merab and Sean. He's +140 now. So I'm sitting here with +330 in my pocket. I feel great about it. I know he's going to win the title, and he's next for the title. It's just a matter of sitting back and waiting, but fucking hell, man, I've got to wait an entire calendar year and some change in months to cash in on that. I'm a little frustrated that I made such a big bet on it. I know it's a good bet. I know I beat the number. I know it's going to cash, but it just sucks to have to sit here and wait for it.
Where we run into trouble on these futures is, like, we expect 3 or 4 title fights, and it's usually 1 or 2 over this next 15 months until New Year's Eve of 2025. Like, you might see 1 or 2, 3 at the most title fights in these divisions, right? The thing I like to look at, the last one I hit was Alex Pereira plus, at 205. He was plus 25 hundo. Wow. And I like to look at fighters that might change a division. Yes. That's the way where you can get an edge here. Yeah.
Well, that's where, if you're looking at like Islam at 170, something like that, where like give him a chance to hop weight classes. And I like that. That's a good way to do it for sure. We got a question real quick here in the chat. David asking, do you see Nunes still being able to do it after being out of fighting for so long now? Yes, but I think that's because she's got so much money now. She's got her own gym. She's got her team. Like, they'll be able to get her in there, and she wouldn't make that kind of a decision without knowing she's still got it. So, like, this would be a once in a lifetime, we're talking GOAT conversation forever type of victory. You don't come for that and half-ass it. Like, she would come back and make sure that this fight was scheduled. It wouldn't be like a 2-month training camp. This would be like 9 months out. We're doing this super fight. She will get herself ready if that's a decision that she ends up making. So yes, I do still think that she's still got it at this point. I really honestly think she hung it up because there was really nobody left. There was no challenge. There was no one to excite her. So if she gets motivated, I truly do think that she can get it back. The trick is Kayla Harrison is a motherfucker, and she is Julia Pena quite literally on steroids. So it's a very tough matchup for her, but also Kayla Harrison's never been punched by anybody who hits as hard as Amanda Nunes. So both sides are very interesting. That fight would be probably close to a pick'em, if not exactly a -110 on either side. I love that fight. I hope we can get to see that one day, because that would be fun. All right, guys, it's main event time. We've been talking a lot about a lot of things. It's been a real fun show. Make sure you're supporting my guy, Aaron. He's been fantastic hanging out with us and talking with us tonight. Again, that is free UFC bet picks. Make sure you check our guy out. Please hit the like button on the show here. We're giving you guys a fun show tonight. If you haven't already, just real quick, 2 seconds, hit the button. It means the world to me. And I want you guys to come back and comment in this show. Let me know what your favorite bet for UFC 307 is going to be. Main event time. We've got Alex Pereira taking on Khalil Rountree in a fight where I have the biggest opportunity to do just the funniest shit you guys have ever seen. I have made so many bets against Pereira. Man, I got to tell you, the thing I tell everybody is the weakness and the strength of my betting system is I simply don't think people are special. So everyone's ready to jump on the hype train. You see these guys get these big inflated price tags, or they get a big step up and they're even money when they should be like a +200 dog. I'm like, those are the spots I foam at the mouth for, because I'm not going to believe you're special until you prove to me that you actually are. I just refused to believe that Pereira was going to have success in the world of MMA. I bet against him at every opportunity I got. You know, he got over those first couple of layup type of fights. And then when he got into the title fight with Adesanya and, stuff like that, I'm like, I'm going to bet against this guy and it's going to pay. And I got the knockout win with Israel Adesanya and it went perfect to script. And I felt like I was smarter than everybody. And I'm like, you know what? This guy is not going to translate at 205. He's fought his entire career at 185. There's no way in hell he moves up a weight class in the UFC and takes these big, strong grappler types on and comes out the other side. Bro, I could not have been more wrong. What the hell happened? Like, it takes a special human being for you to be able to inflate your body 15, 25 pounds and still be able to have all of the aspects of your game translate perfectly. Nobody hops weight classes and then has their power be just as much, if not more, imposed when you're taking on people bigger than you're used to. It's insane. Now, if you cut down and you drop a weight class and you're beating up the kindergartners, like, that makes sense. Your power translates there, no problem. But going up, different story. It's insane that his left hand has continued to be the best thing MMA has ever seen as far as weapons go. And on top of that, he's working with Glover, so the weakness of his ground game has become a non-talking point. Like, we can't even point to the fact that he doesn't know how to grapple anymore. I think he got his black belt or his brown belt after his last fight from Glover. Like, the guy is in the gym, hungry, working, learning. And in fact, he even came out. He wants a piece of Dreykus. He's like, I just needed a rest from the weight cuts. I'm at 205 just because I don't feel like cutting weight. Like, bro, you became a 2-time UFC champion because you don't feel like cutting weight. Like, it's just fun for him to be up at 205, knocking heads around. If I had Alex Pereira's left hook, I probably would just be punching people with it too. I get it. But man, now the UFC has a bona fide star. This guy has swooped in at 38 years of age, saving cards left and right. I can't bring myself to bet against him. I've done it so many times and he's cost me so much money. I have learned my lesson, Alex. You have beaten me down. I am not going to risk burning any more money against you. I promise, unless you drop down to 185. I promise you all right now. And I said I would never do this again. I promise you. If this man tries to cut back down to 185 and take on my man Dreykus du Plessis, it's on. The Alex Pereira fade train is back if he comes and tries to fight Dreykus du Plessis, because that man is built different. But this week, can't do it. I'm sorry. I love Khalil. I love his story. I love the type of person that he is. But he's another guy I've just never been sold on as far as his fighting career. I cannot get the Ion Cutelaba fight out of my head. I know it was years ago, but he's a head case. When everything is going perfectly for Khalil, he fights to his potential, and he's very good. He's very strong. He's very explosive. He hits like a truck. You can't count any of that against him. But when you mess with him, when you make him uncomfortable, he's breakable. He's always been breakable. When Ion Cutelaba used to paint himself green and like scream at people and like get in there, you saw the moment where he punked Khalil at the face-offs, and Khalil never recovered. Like, Ion screams in his face, Khalil visibly flinches and like tries to get the hell away from the man, and then as soon as they got in the cage, he just bullied him. Now, you've got Khalil going for a title shot, and Ion Cutelaba is welcoming newcomers to the UFC. Like, they've gone completely different career paths since then, but that moment still stands out to me, that I'm like, if you can just get under this guy's skin, he will break. And Alex is the most intimidating man the UFC has ever had in the cage. When he's got the war paint done up, like, he doesn't even have to say anything. That still shot of him chomming, when he's just like staring dead across the cage at his opponent, doesn't take his eyes off them. The fucking arrow, when he comes out and like, Khalil's gonna break, guys. Like, mentally speaking, Khalil is going to buckle in this moment. He's a Muay Thai striker who's taking on a world-class kickboxer. It's not going to end well. I'm sorry. It is all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Alex Pereira. I wish I could find a way to meme myself into betting the dog here, because I've done it so many times, and it would be hilarious on social media for people to just flog me in the streets for trying it again. Can't do it. Not doing it. And I will not curse you guys by betting on Alex Pereira. I've already made the decision that I will lose an opportunity at making money this weekend to prevent the reverse curse, because you guys know how that goes. If I bet against somebody 5 times and they beat me 5 times, and then I bet on them, they lose that next fight every time. It's like clockwork. It happens every single time I do this shit. So I will not bet on Alex Pereira so that you guys are safe. Your money is safe. I will not mush you. You're welcome. All right, man. How do you see this fight playing out? What do you got going on here?
Yeah, a lot of what you said, my concerns about both of them are not really applicable here, right? Like, yeah, Ion Cutelaba looked like a ground and pound master. Tyson Pedro looks like a BJJ wizard against Rountree, right? But doesn't really matter here. And is Alex Pereira's ground game and takedown defense improving? Surely. Again, doesn't matter. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Zelda!
Well, I'm not on Rountree. I can't bet on Pereira at minus 500 in a striking fight. Like, Pereira's such a gangster. He is, like you said it, he's a bona fide superstar, and the UFC needed one, man. Like, Izzy's losing, Connor's doing God knows what, like, Amanda Nunes retired, right? Like, they needed a superstar, and this guy just steps in. He's like he's got the most aura. He's got the charisma. He's got it. He's got the moxie.
What was the last year and a half look like without Pereira?
God knows. Yeah, God only knows. And he's saved so many cards, all these big cards they hype up, and then they're not really fitting the bill. And it's like, oh my God, Pereira's gonna defend his belt against another striker. Awesome. Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's amazing. But he's such a gangster that he fought against Yuri last time with like a severely damaged knee. I posted it on my Instagram a couple days ago. It's not like on the story, but like you can find it elsewhere. He was like, yeah, you guys thought I did a little tumble, a little front roll to celebrate. No, it was because I didn't want to put any weight on my knee. I was afraid it was going to completely blow. And when you watch the knockout against the worst, best fighter in the world, Yuri, who comes in with just an incredibly reckless entry, and Alex just on his heels knocks him out and then tumbles forward because he can't even move. It's like, oh my God, was Alex incredibly lucky to even beat Yuri last fight? Like, how many guys have we, like, they're not matching him up against Ankalaev. Ankalaev's, only won one of his last 3 fights. So I'm not like begging for an Ankalaev matchup or anything, but my gosh, like, this incredible run, all this mystique, all this aura, is it hanging by like a thread? Like, is it just the most fragile thing of all time? And so do they give him another non-wrestler here? Yes, obviously. What's Rountree? Number 8? Yeah. And like, if we think about Rountree, we think of all these bad performances. He has turned a corner in the last couple of years, but his wins are against Anthony Smith, former heavyweight, former like low-level heavyweight, Chris Dawkins, split decision against Jacoby, a win against his last, his last 5-6 wins.
He lost the Jacoby fight, by the way.
Yeah. I was on
That was
Jacoby
a
there.
brutal decision.
You know, you beat Carl Roberson and Modestas Bukowskis like a cage, like a journeyman. Like I like Modestas. I like all these guys. But yeah, losing to Ion and Marcin Prachniow, that's the Rountree we remember. And we think he's not deserving of this shot. But this is going to be a close fight, a banger striking fight against two huge guys with power. And the champ, like we know he's just so ballsy and amazing that like he might step in here when he's not at 100%. I just I'm on Alex, but I don't think folks should be parlaying him.
Okay. All right. There's your PSA for the weekend. And Zelda had to make sure she was heard twice. She's barked so hard on this one. So,
Yeah.
hey, take that for what it's worth, guys. I mean, it's pretty crazy, though, because Magomed Ankalaev, you would think with the Russian takeover that they would have shooed him right in there. He's ranked number 2 in the world right now. He's the only guy besides Jan in the top 5 that hasn't fought Alex, and for some reason they were like, nah, bro, you're not doing it. We're not going to give you the title shot. They pulled up number 8 Khalil Rountree, who is just barely holding a spot over Johnny Walker and Carlos Olberg. Like, that's how thin this weight class is. I really feel like, man, they just needed somebody. The star power is completely drained. They're giving Alex the softest softball they possibly can. And again, you've got to respect what Khalil can do at the end of the day. I completely agree. I get that. But he is really striking above his weight class, I feel like, on this one, just based on what we've seen of his entire career. Maybe this is his moment. And could you just, I put a meme out there earlier today. Could you just imagine, like, the year the UFC has had? Everyone hates Bilal. I love the guy, but everyone hates Bilal. He takes the belt off of somebody that people love. You've got
Nobody
Strike
loves
is doing
Leon.
the same thing, beating Izzy.
Yeah.
You've got Marab taking the belt off of Money Train Sean O'Malley. If the only star the UFC has going right now gets finished by Khalil freaking Rountree on Saturday, like, Dana might just go off himself. Like, he might just walk out back and call it a day, because this year has been awful for them. Oh, Colin saying, listen to your dog, Clint. Hey, if you guys have the balls to take Khalil, God bless you. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, you could say this is the most boring set of champions the UFC's had in a long time. Heavyweight, a lay and pray guy. Yes, he tapped Cyril Gane, but John Jones is a lay and pray guy, in my opinion. He's a decision machine. His last 10 fights until Cyril Gane, which was a weird submission. Like, I love John Jones. He used to be my favorite fighter, but you could say John Jones is like not the most exciting heavyweight champ. Light heavyweight, they do not want Magomed Ankalaev. Like, go down the line, even Valentina, Marab, as you pointed out, like, they're trying to put these wrestlers against each other, like Movzar and Aldo, who have, they could both be deserving of a title shot, maybe, at least Movzar. They're like, no, you wrestlers got to fight each other. Like, this is
we're not giving you strikers. We're making sure to eliminate one of these fuckers.
so they give him Rountree. I'll tell you, take the MMA math out the window, take the resumes out the window, and just watch them both strike. The speed, the accuracy, the head movement. Like, Rountree does a great job of just pawing, finding range, and then when he turns it on, it's like a 3-punch combo where the first 2 punches are incredibly slow on purpose, and the third punch is like maybe the fastest hands in the light heavyweight division. Like, if you just watch these guys strike next to each other at the same time, I think this is a close fight. So, man, a banger matchup. Finally, a banger main event, a banger heavy, title fight. Like, these last handful of title fights been kind of boring.
For sure. But and at 205, I mean, anybody can KO anybody. You don't even have to have durability issues to go down at this weight class. And I have the angle I've had the whole time on Pereira is that his second career in martial arts, he's taken a beating his entire life. I think that chin is starting to go. I think it's starting to crack. I absolutely think that could be a problem for him moving forward. If Khalil touches him one too many times, if he gets him on the right spot, like, this whole thing could be over. The one thing I do want to say, though, kind of the flying under the radar, sneaky suspicion, I got to shout out my guy, Maddie. You guys will see him blowing up on social media with this take a little bit later. He texted me and he was like, bro, you're going to get it all back. Don't worry. I have faith in you. Just bet Pereira sub this weekend. I was like, oh, shit. Like, could you imagine? We have seen Khalil Rountree taken down by people and kind of exposed and outed on the mat before. If the training with Glover all comes to bear here on Saturday, and Alex Pereira goes to work showing off those grappling skills he's worked on, I would lose my shit.
Holy cow. Yeah. Maddie's good with those type of, counterintuitive looks, if you
He's
will.
insane,
Yeah.
but he hits
Often
them sometimes.
the submissions specifically, he's got a great eye for.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's crazy. Sometimes he'll pull those out of his ass and I'm like, not a chance. And granted, the odds are what they are for a reason, right? He hits like 40 and 50 to ones, but then he can take 40 to 50 more shots at it. So you don't have to be, having a crystal ball to be able to make that work for you if you just hit him every once in a while. Right now, looking at Bet Online, I just got to see, man. I got to see. Pereira by sub on Bet Online is 20 to 1. So you know it's going to be bigger than that on like US books, FanDuel, DraftKings. It's got to be juicier than that over here. But man, what if?
Can I raise a super important point there?
Absolutely, go for it.
So more than let's tell people to bet these submission props, remember to play the inside the distance instead of the KO, because it's the same freaking price and you never know. Kevin Holland slams Charlie Ontiveros and he taps out. Like, we've seen the craziest things that should be a KO that go down as a submission and vice versa. So when the odds are that close, I got to remind myself, I'm projecting here a little bit, but remember to play the inside the distance if it's like 20 cents off.
Yeah, no, man, that is a great call out. That is wisdom. I try to mention that, especially in fights like this, where Alex Pereira's KO is going to be like minus 120 and the inside the distance will be like minus 135. Pay the 15 cents. It just doesn't do you any good to miss out on something like that stupid the one time he decides to grab a neck and actually pulls it off and Glover walks in there and gives him his black belt in the middle of the UFC cage. Like, that's the type of shit that you want to avoid. So good call out, man. Make sure you're playing inside the distance if that's the way you're going. All right, guys, that'll do it. That's UFC 305, 2 straight hours of MMA love and action. Thank you all so much for being here. Appreciate every single one of you 815 people watching the show live. My guy, please, now's your moment. I appreciate you coming in here on short notice and saving the show. It means the world to me. It was fun to break down another card with you. It's long overdue for us to have a second show together. But let the people know what you've got going on, how they can support you, where they can find your content, all that kind of good stuff.
Right on. Appreciate being here. Love the channel. Always the biggest fan of you. You crush it all the time. I know, we both had a bad week last week. But the amount of hard work and free help that you give everyone every week. Thank you for everyone being here, supporting this channel. And Clint, I'm the biggest fan. Mainly we're on Instagram. We give out the free picks every week. We got graphic design. Like, we try to put in a lot of hard work to put on a good product on Instagram and give out free picks there. And full transparency, you can look at the story today and see that I had a terrible weekend. Go watch the Instagram story right now and see how terrible my bets were. That's one thing that I respect you for, and I take a lot of pride in, is our transparency. So, we're all out here on the same side trying to beat the bookies. I'm up 44 units this year, but it's not as good as it sounds because I've had a terrible summer. So,
it's better than most people I know, man. You're kicking ass this year. That's a fact.
Appreciate it. We've never had a losing year, but it's a weird thing. And I always tell people, like, when you win, you want to bet a bigger unit size. And when you lose, you bet smaller. And the law of averages screws you because the cold hand gets hot, the hot hand cools down. And that's how they get you, is by getting you to vary your unit size. And they do that in so many ways with boosts and stuff. But, I'm just very proud of the lessons that we try to tell people. Cause this early summer, we were up so much this year after being up year after year. And I was about to be like, all right, guys, I always tell you not to increase your unit size, but we're finally going to. And I didn't. We kept our unit size flat and we have fucking sucked all summer. And I'm so proud and
that's what protects you.
Lessons that I learned hard years ago, that we happen to be profitable every year. And it's hard. It's hard.
It's a lot of work, man. You guys do great work over there. You really do. And especially with the graphics. And like you mentioned, you're not joking, man. The lessons and stuff like that you teach people about betting, guys. It's a really good place to be. If you don't know the free UFC Bet Picks crew, please check them out on all social media platforms. Really appreciate you guys for tuning into the show. As always, please check out the links in the description below, guys. Make sure you click a couple of those for me. That really helps me out as far as moving things along. I do everything I can to bring you smart people good breakdowns, successful bettors, people that are better at this than me, and then all these, links and people that I can point you to. They really are to help you guys out. I don't ever bring wolf tickets to you guys where I'm like trying to sell something that doesn't work. I only bring people that I personally check out and think will actually be able to help you or benefit you in some way, shape, or form. So appreciate the feedback, appreciate the help, appreciate a thumbs up on your way out the door if you could. We will be back. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, if you guys are not on Bet Openly, you're just giving away money.
Right?
Use this link. Like if you're a profitable bettor, however much you win this year, take 5% off it. That was your donation to the sports books that you could keep on Bet Openly. If you're a losing bettor, like 98% of you, then like you could have saved some of those losses on Bet Openly.
Yep. That's what it's all about, man. That's my guy Gino built the thing because he was a degenerate gambler before he got into the business side of things, and he did it with gamblers in mind. He's saving us money. He's making a living off of it, but he's saving us all money by undercutting the juice from the books. It's really an awesome tool. So please, like you said, check it out.
I pay taxes on, like, I get a W-4 or W-10. It's not a W-2. It's a W something. Like I get taxes from the sports books every January. Like if you're a profitable bettor, you should care about saving 5%.
It's a big deal. Long term, it's a big deal. Even if you're a degenerate gambler like myself, long term, it adds up. It adds up a lot.
You're the one who put us on.
That's what I'm saying. So glad I could help out. But hey, we will be back for the Total Takedown, obviously, on Thursday, as always. And then it's a pay-per-view fight week. So I will get my guy Andrew from Superbook Sports for the Sharp Action Report on Fridays. Everybody seems to love that show. And then, of course, we've got the Undefeated Post-Weigh-In show, as always. You guys, we are entering into spooky season. We're about to get to the good stuff, you guys. It's getting a little cooler. Everybody's anger level in Arizona is simmering because the temperature is finally going down. It's like 97 and it feels like it's 68 because we're finally under triple digits, and you would not believe the difference that makes to the locals over here. But we are getting to the good stuff. Everybody loves Halloween. We all get to dress up and make fools of ourselves. I'm a Christmas guy. I can't wait until the holidays roll around. Lots of family, lots of good stuff. But I want to remind you guys, it's also a very difficult time for a lot of people out there. So around this time of year, I always just try to hammer home, do your very best to be a good person. I know there's a lot of people out there, a bunch of them in the chat tonight, trolls, people who like to pick and poke at you, people who like attack you, people who will try to drag you down. Do your best to surround yourself with people who you can trust, people who you're going to uplift, and people who are going to uplift you in return. I promise you, if you tighten that circle, you put good people around you, people who will watch out for your back while you watch theirs, your world is going to be just that much better. You can always wake up in the morning with a smile, a positive attitude. And if you don't have that, we've got a great community here with the diehards. And I know Twitter can be a toxic place, but there's some really great people that watch the show and interact with us every single week. You can find some like-minded souls right here in the Die Hard MMA podcast family, and free UFC Bet Picks is one of those people. So if you're looking for more people to talk to about fights that are not going to make you feel like an asshole, make sure you give them a follow. So thank you all again one more time for supporting the show. Always, it means the world to me. Ups, downs, sideways, doesn't matter. You guys are here. I'm here. We're going to keep doing this shit. And we're also going to get back in the black. Maybe not by the end of 2024, but I'll figure my shit out. We'll turn this around. We'll have a good time with it. Love you guys. As always, thank you, and let's roll.